Yo, hey, what's up, everyone? Yeah, I watched, speaking of Westerns, since of course we're playing Red Dead Redemption today, since the 4th of July is tomorrow, right? I decided we're not going to be playing Spec Ops The Line. And even then, it's like Red Dead Redemption, Spec Ops The Line, not the most patriotic games that you can think of, is it? But still, when it comes to choosing one of those games, I figured, hey, at least, you got Cowboys. At least there is some kind of dignified connection to the Americas. And here we are. And yes, so I watched a Western the other day, and it was called, what was the name? Not She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. I watched that one too. It was the one after that within the Cavalry trilogy by John Ford, and it was called. Come on, name of the movie. Come on, I just watched it. I've seen so many westerns now that they're all kind of starting to like blend together. Not because they're all the same, but it's just like you just see so many of them. Uh, but regardless, like whatever. The name, like the reason why I bring it up is because the word "yo" is used a lot in that movie to a great comedic effect, and dang it, it's it's the first one is Fort Apache, the second one is She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, and the third one is Grande. There we go. That's what it was. Yes. See, I needed to kind of like go through the first one, the second one, and the third one. Okay. So yes, today we're kind of starting our stream a bit later. Hey, uh, Julian. I think it's Julian, right? Or is it Julian? I always, it's like some people prefer to, for me to say Julian. Some others say it's Julian. I just don't know sometimes which one people prefer. Um, it's Julian. Okay. Okay. Good. You Julian. Or Julian. Ooh, I like that one. Good. Because I know there's some people who just prefer, hey, you gotta say Julian or like something like that. And I'm like, okay, okay. Uh, so, yes. Today we are going to go over those amazing suits uh, that James Gunn just dropped. Why? Because, for one, you know, I did not expect for those to drop today. I figured, okay, we've had enough of those leaks, so and I didn't expect for them to just reappear. Plus, we want to talk about, see you guys, the difficulty here, the normal mode, hardcore, and yeah, we're going to be touching on difficulty in gaming, not just touching on it. We're going to settle the discussion here. Where I'm going to tell you something. We have like opposite opinions on outlooks on most things, but I follow you to see both sides. Right on, Julian. Uh, yeah, I also follow a lot of people who disagree with me on a lot of things, and I always like to look at your page sometimes too. Uh, Even though it's I don't know if it's like the most spicy of pages, but I think I know like some of your beliefs, and I think I respect you for it, of course. And it's always fun to talk to you guys about this stuff when I'm in the chats. Not this chat, of course, uh, but the ones that are on Instagram, and it's just always fun to talk to you guys about it. Uh, Julian says, "Cause I like to discuss with someone who's not just agreeing with me." It's that, plus it's also the fact that it's like I think that you can only like disagree with a person to a certain extent. Like sometimes there's a person who is just so ridiculously stupid and ridiculous that you're just going to disagree on like 90% of the things that they're going to say, and at that point it's like not even fun, you know and I'm not gonna call names. Yeah, I will. I mean, like a lot of leftists, for example, are like that, where it's like just having a conversation with you, and I'm open to having conversations. It's just that people are sometimes just unhinged, and instead of them wanting to have a conversation, they just see that as an opportunity to dunk on you for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate that there are so many losers out there, but what are you gonna do? So yes. Plus, I have prepared a list of things we gotta do because in this game, there's these side missions that I want to be doing. It's right here. If you guys, I'll show you guys what I mean. Journal, briefs, and it's like, you know, the strangers that we kind of talk to and all that stuff. I was contemplating doing this on my own, you know, kind of maybe not show you this part, but you know, it's still, we're gonna be watching stuff, we're gonna be reacting to things. So anyway, it's probably not going to bother you, but yes, we gotta basically do all these things. I want to do them. Let's see where they take us. You know, we gotta help out people along the way. And I created a list of things after one of our streams, and it is, I basically kind of created like a map of what we want to do first. So first we would want to go to we're gonna cross the border back to America, and we're gonna go to the location called Rio Bravo to pursue this Daedalus mission to get what red sage. We want to find red sage there, so we're gonna be right here on the map. It should be right here. We're gonna try to look for red sage. Good. And yeah, so I think with that out of the way. By the way, I gotta just mention this at the very start, and we'll get to the whole Superman thing. But Red Dead Redemption is my longest series yet. To give you some perspective, the other longest ones was, well, the other one was Batman Arkham Asylum, which took 8 parts. We're already on part 11 with this one, but we started Batman Arkham Asylum in February, and we finished that in March, so like just a little over a month. Now we started this game, what, in like April, I like to say, and we're still playing it. And that's because I had to skip a lot of things, and I guess it's cool that we're getting to maybe like work on it a bit more. Work on that a bit more. What is this? Ava in Peril. She's in there. We might have to walk to this place because we tried to go there last time. All right. So, I might even kind of like pause the game for now because we've got the suit. So let me just flash you with all the other Superman suits that we've had before, or like the Superman photos that we've had from before. So allow me to maybe turn off the game and show you what we're dealing with here. Although I do like that background noise from the game. So let us yeah, so these are the suits that we've seen before on the set of this wonderful movie that I'm very excited for. Not so, of course, this, you guys seen these by now. There's this one of Lois Lane. This one, I like how this one is shot, just basically. And there's this one with the rough, just not very good looking Mr. Terrific. I'm sorry, that haircut, that fro is not working on you, sir. I think they were going for like a 70s vibe. Maybe that's what they were going for. But Julian says that he very much likes the suits. Do you like... Oh, wait, sorry. Do you like the Guardians 3 suits? And then he says, love that suit. Are you referring, in terms of loving, are you referring to the Superman outfit or the Guardian outfits? There's this amazing zoomer face and hair. Drunk Superman. That Superman. I'm not a fan of this outfit, as you guys know. Just overall thinking is that, you know, he just looks kind of chubby here, you know. It doesn't suit him all that well. I think maybe in post-production they'll try to make it look better, but still, the lines, the way it's tailored to him, not a fan. But I'm not going to kind of repeat myself here because we've got new images. And yeah, I do like the zoomer hair. Oh, sorry. Ooh, I misread that. Julian says, I do hate the zoomer hair. Okay, good. Whew, For a second, I thought, even everybody has their limits, and I think the zoomer hair has got to be everybody's. Like, I haven't heard anyone say that they like it, other than use that kind of like copious response in argument that it's supposed to look different. You can still make Superman and Clark Kent different looking without turning him into a zoomer, which is even stupid to kind of do that to him, since you don't see any millennials wearing that hair. Not even like, I think Superman would be a millennial in this, right? uh but the bold colors are just chef's kiss. I do like the bright colors. I'm very happy that they're going with the bright colors, but I think we've seen so many other Superman outfits with bright colors that I'm just like, okay, well, why didn't you just do something simple like that and kept the simple colors? And also this symbol here. I know this visual is kind of blurry here, but yeah. Do you like the Guardians 3 suits? You're referring to Volume 3, right? I do like them, and I think it's because they do remind you of the ones from the comic books. They sort of work because the ones from the comic books also were jackets, not maybe as thick or as leather or as leathery as the ones in the comic book, but it still did the job. What exactly constitutes a zoomer hair? Well, this is what we were talking about, Sir Diesel. The kind of like the curls it's a broccoli hair. Um, what else is there? Other than zoomer, broccoli hair. Yeah, that's basically what we're talking about here, Sir Diesel. I hope the guy with the U isn't like the final Ultraman design. It probably isn't, but it still looks very lame. You guys gotta admit, like, even for something that's not supposed to be his final look, it looks extremely lame. Which is, I think, where we're going to be finding ourselves a lot in these next images that we're going to show you, because I think that they're not going to be permanent for reasons that I'll get into, and they might be able to even kind of like tease you a bit more as to what we're dealing with here in terms of the plot of this movie and what the world building is within this universe. So let's just get into it. Maybe not this one. This one's not the best, but yes, we've got Guy Gardner in this movie, played by Nathan Fillion, who looks just awful in this. I mean, the haircut is not there. There's a different shot of him that we'll get to. The hair is just not even here. It just looks weird, and you think, oh, because it's trying to be like the comic book buzz cut, or sorry, like the bowl cut, and it's like, no, that's not it. And you'll see from a different angle. But look at what he's wearing. He's also wearing a jacket. It's almost similar to the one that Mr. Terrific was wearing, and also Hawkgirl is also going to be wearing the exact same type of jacket, the leather jacket. So it's on purpose, because they're going to be essentially wearing the same sort of outfits. They're going to be wearing uniforms, and that's what you need to know so far. And also, if you look closer, Guy Gardner, not only his Green Lantern symbol, which, look at it, it's black and white more than it is green. Isn't that just off-putting? And even if it's not the final suit, again, I believe, it's my speculation here, no spoilers of course, it's my speculation that he is going to be that everyone from this team is just going to break away from whatever it is that they're going to break away from, which I'll tell you in a moment what that could be. And they'll basically get their real suits, maybe, probably, and that's like, okay, again, still pretty bad. Oh dang, Julian, it's all good. By the way, thanks for dropping by, Julian. By the way, it's great having you. Eat something, and happy 4th of July, because that's tomorrow, of course. And so, if I don't hear from you again, thank you for dropping by. And yeah, we're only getting started, guys. So, and I'm really excited to look at these. And then Julian also writes, I think Guy Gardner will have more orange hair in post. Yeah, I think in this lighting, I think it's still pretty orange here. Happy 4th, yeah. Take care, buddy. And so I still think that they're going to, like, I think in post and not just post, but I think right here you can kind of like see it. And it's just kind of an unfortunate lighting and awkward angle that, it's just what it is. I think he looks definitely more ginger, like Far Cry Lego says, looks more ginger. Yes, more ginger than who? More ginger than Jimmy Olsen in this film, who I think is kind of more brownish, more auburn, than actual orange, redhead, ginger, the one that you're kind of expecting to get. And so, yes, but can we also talk about the casting? Nathan Fillion, who is now, 50 years old, is going to be playing one of the most important Green Lanterns in this movie. We're not even going to talk about the fact that this movie is already overcrowded with 15 different superheroes. There's going to be Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, uh, Supergirl will probably have some cameo maybe in after credits scene. But that already is like in a solo Superman movie that is kicking off the universe. That's already more than Batman v Superman, which had Batman and Wonder Woman. And that, people were kind of complaining that, oh, you should have given Superman a proper sequel instead of thrusting Batman and Wonder Woman into it. And I agree. And guess what? This movie, which is going to kick off not just these team up films, but this entire universe, it is going to be it's going to be more than BVS. So again, something to keep in mind. So we're not even gonna touch on that too much, and I'm not even talking about all the villains. Ultraman, that ridiculous authority member who I think it's the engineer, who she's also kind of a superhero, right? So yeah, that's already a problem. But let's just kind of focus on the castings. Nathan Fillion, who is 50 years old right now, they cast him as probably, I don't know, Guy Gardner always gives off like young guy energy, kind of like a college guy. Obviously, he's older, but his behavior is supposed to kind of like, oh, he's a frat boy. And okay, that's Guy, and you're not getting and you're getting a 50-year-old to play him, who is not going to be very convincing when it comes to moves. He's not as fragile, not as flexible as he was, as one should be playing Guy Gardner. And also the face. Does that look like Guy Gardner to you? And the reason why he got cast, by the way, is because James Gunn is his best friend. That's why he got cast in this role. This is why that's the only reason why he's here. And that's just what it is. So this is how James Gunn casts his movies. His brother, you guys know, what's his name? The guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn's brother. He's going to be playing Maxwell Lord in this. So, okay, that's Guy Gardner, okay? We'll reveal what the problem is, or what the background information in this movie is. So this is Hawkgirl and Guy next to each other. They're just walking. We'll kind of play this scene because there's behind the scenes footage of this as well. And let's take a look at Hawkgirl. What a mess. I mean, she's also wearing some kind of like leather outfit, and everybody just knows that's not Hawkgirl. That's just being so ridiculous. Hey, Moodcap, that's somehow worse than Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. Yes, Simon Gunn, is that his name? Simon Gunn. I think hopefully that's his name, because that's what I'm going to be referring to him as. Simon Gunn is I started reading your comments and I lost my train of thought, but Simon Gunn is just not the guy to play Maxwell Lord. And I think Pedro Pascal could have been even a somewhat competent Maxwell Lord had it not been for the creative choices that they took with that character. But anyway, Hawkgirl. The helmet looks cheap. Everything about her costume looks cheap. I saw all these costumes and I'm like, okay, the CW called. They want their outfits back. And look at them. Look at their not I guess they're kind of pouches. They're pads. They're shoulder pads on the side. You can see Hawkgirl's symbol, and you can see Green Lanterns, and Mr. Terrific will also have his. And again, it's to kind of give you that feeling that they're all on the same team, and you can kind of see the extras. It's reminding you of like a 70s aesthetic. So James Gunn, he said it's not taking place in the 70s, which could be a lie because he's a damage control guy. But maybe he's taking inspiration from the 70s time, the time period, and he's maybe trying to blend it with modern day, since we'll see cars in these images, and you'll see that the cars look very modern day compared to what you see with the costumes. But the jackets, right? So that's how Hawkgirl looks like. So a bunch of heroes that don't need to be here. He's probably the youngest next to Kyle regarding Guy Gardner's age. Sir Diesel also says people always like him as the voice of GL2. Yes, Hal, not Guy. For those who don't know, Nathan Fillion has voiced Guy Gardner in Hal Jordan in a lot of animated projects, namely Justice League Doom, and he's an amazing voice for Hal. He even looks more like Hal, except now he's kind of too old for Hal again, so he's just not a good choice for a superhero at all. And I think it's clearly just to make him look stupid. I think the whole thing is, and look at it. Does that look to you like a bull haircut? It doesn't, right? It kind of looks like it's trying to do that, but still there's too much hair. He doesn't look frat boyish enough. Just a total. And look, what is he wearing? What is that gauntlet on his head? The mace, I guess the mace looks good, but everything else, Hawkgirl is supposed to be wearing armor, nth metal, or maybe just, not armor, but she can also be wearing her classic outfit, which looks good and great. But again, this is Kendra Summers. We're playing, and we're getting the even worse angle. Look at this hair. Look at this hair. Oh my gosh. That does not look like Guy. That's not Guy at all. Oh, Sean Gunn. That's a weird name. Sean Gunn. Shotgun. So Sean Gunn is the name of the brother. Thank you, Sir Diesel. That means they will probably make him a joke. They did a better job in Black Adam with Hawkman. They did, even though they also race swapped him. What WTF happened to his hair, says Far Cry Lego. It's a lot to take in, I know. It just, at least somebody who would be young maybe would be able to pull off this haircut. But Grandpa, you gotta retire, because this is not it. You are just... It makes you look even worse. It makes you look even older than what you are. You are incapable of owning Guy's drip. And you got a problem, James Gunn, because you really got to get yourself under control. You have no discipline as a director. You indulge too much in your stupid jokes. Your story is just always regarding Guardians. It's always just emotional hippie bullcrap. And that's really gone out of hand with the third film, which is probably the worst one of the three. I know people like to say it's the best one. No, it's the worst one. It's just because it's the ending doesn't mean it makes it the best one. It's the last time you got to see the characters. I get it. We'll all miss them. But it's the worst one because the story is every character acts like an outright moron, an emotional moron. Everyone is written out of character, even more so. And that's not even getting into like the comic inaccuracy aspect of it all. Which is certainly there in all three films. But you can see Hawkgirl right here. Again, Kendra Summers, the Latin X version of the character. Ooh, she just looks very bad. Again, the CW. I think the CW may have even done a better job with the Hawks. I'm serious. They'll probably add her wings post-production, but I do hope that they don't end up making the same mistake that the CW did, which is that the wings just magically disappear when she's walking around. No, the wings should always be there. That's or maybe you could kind of like incorporate it into nth metal, but that have to be that have to be a thing. You can't just have the wings disappear randomly and like where do you guys hide? It's like maybe the wings could be made of nth metal and then they kind of like shape shift or like grow out of the nth metal, kind of like Venom grows his wings, in that sort of manner. Um, but this is Biker Gang Helmet, Kendra Summers Latinx. Everyone wanted Shayera, right? The redhead. Redheads are kind of missing, except for this guy. At least he's redheaded. Uh, yeah, I mean, just awful. And again, the short hair should be like Kendra Summers has short hair. Shayera has the long hair, so she can't even have that. How sad. How sad. And so yes. Now talking about the costumes in general, what is the overall backstory here? So if you take a look at these outfits again, here, I think you can see it in this one the best. You can see symbol on that chest piece. And every single member would, and I'm talking Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner, each single member of the team has that on their chest. And you're thinking, what is that logo? It is the logo of Lord Tech, Maxwell Lord. So yes, Sean Gunn is in this movie. And they're all wearing his logo, which means Maxwell Lord is probably sponsoring this group. I don't know if maybe they're going for like Justice League International vibes, but that's what they're doing here. That's the idea. So why do these outfits all look the same? It's because they're all funded by the same guy. And I think by the end of the film, you'll have everyone just kind of like break off from the team and they'll kind of revert back to their true outfits. And it's like, don't even bother showing us these. Like, there is no, like, just from, like, look at it from this perspective. This is a Superman movie. It should be about Superman. Everyone else who is in this movie is only here to, number one, only to make Superman look good, because that's, I think now, especially with these picks, we can kind of like get a better grasp of that. Now that's confirmed pretty much. They're all just here to play second fiddle, not even second, maybe like fifth fiddle to the Superman storyline that's going to be happening. But at the same time, they are going to be here. They are going to be distracting. People are fans of these characters. If you don't serve them, they're going to be pissed for all the right reasons, because Guy, specifically Guy, he does not deserve to be in this movie like that. And he, like Sir Diesel said, he is probably going to be turned into a total joke. With and I sometimes Guy is played up to be this whole joke, comic relief, and sometimes he is the butt of the jokes. But I do think that maybe James Gunn is really going to take it to the next level. Like, he's really going to amp that up, as he does in his Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And I think James Gunn will try to be more approachable, more traditional with this film, traditional Superman with this film. But he'll still try to kind of get in his jokes through Guy Gardner. And it is going to be toxic masculinity personified. If that's my guess, that's what they're going to go for. It's pure speculation, but that's the only way I can kind of also rationalize the choice that they went with, because Nathan Fillion was also kind of a joke in Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy. So yes, and this is a huge flaw in this film. Guy Gardner would never wear these uniforms. You look at his Green Lantern outfit, it is the most personalized one out of everyone else. It sticks out the most. Why? Because Guy Gardner hates conformity. He is not pro wearing uniforms. If he's forced to wear one, he's going to change it up. And does this look like he is changing it up? He's going to wear something that is going to make him look good, right? At least, match the outfit with the haircut. And that's not what we're seeing here. He's now a part of this fake team, and just the idea of him falling in line, or like falling into line with whatever it is that somebody else expects of him. Just think of this: Maxwell Lord owns this guy. Could you even imagine the comic book guy just putting up with somebody else telling him that, I own you, you work under me? No, no, that's not going to happen. It's ridiculous. And Hawkgirl, I don't even know what her deal here is. She's probably going to be a totally different character than what we know her to be, because it's Kendra, and they're probably going to ignore the entire storyline of like Shiera and how she was the original Hawkgirl. So they're going to ignore that for the sake of being simpler. But at the same time, simpler. Why didn't you just keep the classic character then? Oh, it's because they wanted more diversity points. Okay, we got it. And I gotta say, Mr. Terrific, because he's also not. Mr. Terrific was originally a white guy, right? A white character, and they changed that. And yeah, you can kind of see them trying to shoot this whole scene with Superman. I do like the way his cape looks, but not the symbol at the back, on the back. It's really distracting, and again, it's too similar to New 52. But the cape itself, how it flows, is pretty cool. Now you look at Guy, again, his hair looks probably even worse here. I mean, total goofball here. And so you got Hawkgirl, who's probably going to have her wings here, and hopefully they don't just. I say hopefully, but it's like, I don't even care about this movie. I mean, I do, because I'm obviously talking about it, but not in the sense that I am invested in it being a success, because clearly I think it's going to be a failure, mainly because of James Gunn, and I'd rather be prepare people for it, just kind of set the stage for this sort of stuff. And of course, I'm just like one small person, but I think it always starts with one person. And so yes, Mr. Terrific is wearing some weird jetpack, but it's also a seat. If you look closer, he's actually sitting on something, and it's wrapped around his arms and his butt from the looks of it. So I think that's like or maybe I'm just looking at it all wrong, but it looks to me like it's some kind of chair. And look at his foot. I do think he's sitting in some sort of chair right now. It looks ridiculous, of course, but maybe there's something to be. There's probably going to be more here, but and I think maybe even if you kept it the way it is, maybe there's some kind of charm to it. Mudcap. Did they forget that Guy is supposed to be young? Rhetorical question, of course. Mudcap also says, I remember reading somewhere that John Cena was doing some research on his character, and James Gunn told him to stop. He most likely did the same for Guardians, so he could leave his mark. That's exactly what he did. And he's definitely going to do it with this movie too, which is hilarious. I remember that story, says Sir Digital. It sounds like many directors, producers do that. They are definitely trying to do Justice League International, the most obscure Justice League members, so Gunn will definitely do that. And Moodcap says that especially applies to Taika. I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby YTT. Well, I think James Gunn just wants to do his thing. Honestly, he just wants to he probably doesn't even think it in terms of ruining it. He just wants to tell his story. And it's a very selfish approach. And it's pathetic. It is pathetic. I can't be... Maybe, here's the thing. Maybe it wouldn't be pathetic like even 2014 maybe. Because that was like right after the whole Avengers thing. But once Phase 3 happened, you just would expect them to at least become gradually more faithful to the source material. And we've ended up doing the opposite with every single one of these movies. We've steered so far away from the source material than when we even started with these cinematic universes, which is crazy. Spider-Man in the MCU is a joke. It's a joke. He's a joke. You can't tell me that he's more accurate than Toby, which, by the way, Eminem dropped a new single, or single. Yeah, I think it's a single. The categorization for that, called Toby, in reference to the OG Spider-Man. I haven't listened to it yet, so you guys can let me know if it's any good. But that's, yeah. So they're all going to be working for Maxwell Lord. All these guys are going to be working for his company, and that's why they're all wearing the same looking outfits. And again, no matter how you spin it, these characters should never be in this movie, and never under these circumstances. So you can say, well, it makes sense within the context. The context, let me just tell you, does not save this movie. It does not. It's not an excuse to change the source material. It's 2025 when this movie comes out. So it's when it comes to 2025, we expect you to stick to the source material. What's up, Steven? Bad news. Tom King wrote Human Target, which humiliated Guy Gardner, and now he's writing Superman. That's like giving him to write a Tim Drake or Jason Todd story, and he dislikes both of them. As far as I'm concerned, it's not maybe James Gunn is credited as the sole writer for this movie, so I'll put it that way. But I think that Tom King definitely played a huge role in shaping this version of Superman. I think it was said by James Gunn that Tom King was the first guy he ever consulted. The script that he showed him, Tom King was the first guy he went to consult the script for Superman. And he's been chosen to be a part of his writer's room. So Tom King is very much involved in the writer's room, and so he probably did have a lot of creative input into everything that we're going to be seeing from these films, and this one as well. He is writing, what was the film that he said? Oh, he's writing the Green Lantern's TV show, which is now an HBO show. He's going to be writing that, which, for anyone who knows Tom King on Green Lantern, I think he had that one issue where he turned Hal into a Jewish Catholic. That was just totally insane. And I remember people praising him for that issue. It was just, goodness gracious, an awful one-shot during the Darkseid War. Tom King got to do his one-off spin-off from that series. Insane Tom King, just doing whatever he wants to do and claiming that he'll revitalize your characters. No, you don't need to change anything. Yes. So I think there's also a clip that I want to share with you guys here. Oh, and by the way, people who defended this outfit, and maybe that's why I wish Julian was kind of here, but the people who defended this outfit at least have to give people some props, because I said this, Superman's outfit, we can pull it up as well. Hold on. And that's Mr. Terrific's back. Looks pretty cool. But people who defended this outfit, I mean, look at the fabric. Look at the lines. Does it look all that different from... Can I get it? Right? Like, maybe this image... Sure, it looks different from these outfits, but you can still tell that they're kind of similar. The fabric is too thick, there's too much going on. And so, even as somebody who is supposed to be opposite the team Maxwell Lord, even he looks like he's kind of fitting in with them, even though he's wearing different colors. He also looks like he should be wearing typical tights or something along the lines of Kryptonian outfit. Just maybe, I would have been fine had it been kind of in the lines of the Man of Steel outfit, but brighter colors. The tights are there, of course. The trunks have to be there. But no, they had to go with this because they have a costume designer that is the same one from the MCU. It's the same one who worked on Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, uh, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Suicide Squad, which is DC, and you can tell that it's the same costume designer. And people who at least have, I've been telling them specifically that, okay, well, you guys are praising this mediocrity. Well, you're going to pay for it with some ugly MCU-fied outfits for everyone else, and that's what we're getting. And that's because there is a correlation. You can see that the Superman outfit, the outfit leans in one direction that is kind of deviates from your classic Superman look, and that look is very much entrenched in the MCU costume designs, and it just makes total sense to me that's what would happen to everyone else. So overall, just totally awful. And I think the people who defended this outfit and took issue with the people who hated this outfit, I think those people should say, okay, uh, maybe there was something there, right? It wasn't just Snyder Bros hating on this outfit for the sake of it. There are people who genuinely did not like this outfit because it looks like there's too much, right? Never settle for mediocrity. Right on with Cap. Right on. Steven, Supergirl's movie is gonna be based on Tom King's recent run, not pre-Crisis Supergirl or post Infinite Crisis Supergirl, but Tom King. Yes, that comic book run, which was called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, is very feminist themes heavy, and I believe he turned Kara into a lesbian in that storyline with some OC of his, of course, because that's to be expected. And I want to show you guys one more clip here. Let me bring it up, and it should be this one. I did not add the audio, but it's hilarious that somebody else did. Come on. There we go. Okay, and I'll let it play again because we'll kind of take a look at it again. So what we're seeing here is Superman. Let's just call them Justice League International, but Justice League International comes down because they're flying, so they all come down to the public, and the Superman is right behind them for whatever reason. So right now we can see Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl. You can see them right there walking. And yeah, it's kind of like almost like an exoskeleton that can double as a chair in the air. Kind of weird, kind of odd, but could work. And then right behind them you have Superman. And look at the kids all come running to Superman. And they ignore all the other superheroes. Again, fans of these characters will probably be pissed. And I don't blame them. Especially Guy, like, come on. Maybe I can understand how kids would not like him or he wouldn't like kids. But there's a way to play that off without, like, turning Superman. And you could, like, I love the scenes where, like, Superman hangs out with the community and everybody loves him. But now that you add like different superheroes into the frame, it just totally changes. It changes the perspective, or like it changes the narrative around that. It no longer is about wholesome Superman. It's about, oh, look at Superman, he's great and everybody else around him sucks. And that's just stupid. You don't have to do that. And that's the problem with James Gunn, is that he constantly wants to add more into whatever it is that he wants to do. It's like, look, and he probably got this from a comic book too, but doing that within your like first film is already a huge mistake. And I love how everyone keeps using the Starman song. I think he might even like James Gunn will probably use it. He may have even like that it's not going to be in the film. I think it probably will. So he's hanging out with the kiddos. Everyone's talking to him. And let's just get it one more time. So yeah. They're all surrounding him. And this movie is going to be overcrowded. So yeah, I still want to talk about this because I'm not done, but let's bring up the costumes again just so we can have like a cool reference point. All right. So yeah, these outfits just are not doing it, and you just know that it's going to be, the whole thing is going to be overstuffed with too many superheroes, right? All of whom are not going to be given the time to properly shine. They're all going to be here to make look Superman good, but at the same time, they're going to be distracting from the main story. That should be just a simple Superman storyline. Where's my stupid horse? Come to me. What do you guys think of these outfits? By the way, I gotta ask you guys a question too for the stream. It's going to be our next major topic, so I'll just ask you. Actually, I did ask you on Instagram, but let's just do it here. Why not? Do you think accessibility in video games is a good thing? Actually, hold on. Do you think the effects of accessibility in video games are a good thing? Yes and no. Since I expect everybody who's going to be here knows a bit more about video games, there's not going to be any sort of people who don't know what we're talking about. Accessibility, of course, being the features that can kind of enable more disabled players to play the game, but it's available for everyone. So anyone can kind of tap into those settings and play the game however they want. So I'm starting this poll, and you can answer that. And well, you can tell me what you think about the outfits themselves. I think the general consensus is that a lot of people don't like them. Even the fans of the Superman outfit are like, yeah, these ones are just bad. And that's what you can kind of expect out of James Gunn. You're going to have a lot more people just not knowing what to make of it. And James Gunn is really going to be pushing people's expectations, although he is going to have a lot of devoted shills. That's what I'll just call them, because we already saw them online. There was a guy, and I shared this on Instagram, who posted the pictures of these outfits next to the outfits from the comic book. Is that a goat? What is a goat doing here? Can I pull it with me? Come on, Mr. Goat. Oh, he's stubborn. Okay. Well, guess what? You're gonna die next. Oh no, get back. There's multiple goats. Nice. Dead. Good. Yeah. So, oh yeah, that Supergirl's movie, yeah, it's going to be very, very feminist. So, Steven also says that King didn't make Hal a Jewish Catholic, he made him Jewish. Hal's mom was Jewish, and his dad was Catholic, and had a Catholic funeral. King retconned his dad's funeral to Jewish. Is that what he really did in that storyline? I thought that he was... What? Oh! Wasted. What the heck? Whoa. You guys saw that, right? Yeah, you did.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I just got pummeled and wasted. Wow, crazy. Let's get out of here before we get attacked. These people deserve to get... They saw me. They should have just ran around me. I thought that the whole scene took place inside of a church, not a synagogue, but like a Catholic church. That's what I thought that was. And like the entire storyline was him coming to terms with his spiritual schism, or I don't even know what that storyline was, but maybe I'm misremembering, which would be kind of a weird thing to misremember. Because I'm making like specific references, almost like it happened. So let's see if this woman is here. We saved her last time, if you guys remember from... oh, not here. Sorry. From this crazy dude. By the way, this isn't story related. It's kind of like a stranger that you can help out, which I really like about this game. One thing I love about this game is the open world, and this is probably something that was very innovative at the time that this game came out. You had... Hold on, let's make sure this isn't too loud. I think it's already too loud, because when I replay, YouTube decompresses the audio. And they end up making it so that nobody can hear my voice on the playback. But yeah, it's like you being able to talk to strangers, and like just how the entire world is kind of alive. Las Hermanas. There's the lady. She's inside of this building. And yeah, having those on the spot interactions, just like walking on a sidewalk, or like not even the sidewalk because there aren't many in this game, but just walking around the city, or like the town, or the homesteads, or whatever you want to call these places. Oh, we're not playing this horseshoe game. And then seeing a random encounter of people just, you know, somebody getting attacked on the street. That was probably something very much innovative at the time. Alright, let's find this woman. This prostitute that we paid for so that she could be free. And let's see what she has to say. Wait, she's a nun now? What? Imagine the 180. I think I mixed up the storylines. Maybe it's not the prostitute, but it'd be hilarious if she just did a total 180. What is this storyline? John Marston, Ava in peril. Is this like a new mission? It might be. Oh well. Let's see what they have to say.
Excuse me, sister.
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
I was looking for a girl by the name of Eva, I think. Wanted to see if she was doing okay.
Are you one of her special friends?
Oh, so it is the storyline, okay.
No, I just helped her.
Oh.
She said she was coming in here.
Oh, she came and she went.
Ungrateful
A man
girl.
came for her. Turned out maybe he was her calling after all.
Okay. Thank you, sister.
Oh, I think they said they were going to El Sepulcro. But who knows? She wasn't much of one for the truth.
Please, sir, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave me to my prayers now. So you're still here. Is there something else you need?
Ciao. Prego la Santa Croce, prega per noi peccatori, adesso nell'ora della nostra morte. Hola.
I'd go now, if I was you. The man who took her looked a mean sort.
Che hombre más
Dio.
bestia. Per noi peccatori, adesso nell'ora della nostra morte. Ciao. Santa Maria.
Manuel está todos los días tocándose los huevos.
Beg your pardon, madam.
Ay, perdóname, señor.
Daddy's room, gringo.
Can you guys hear me? Oh my gosh. For how long could you guys not hear me? Oh, I hate myself. So, did you guys hear me talking about your comments about Alana Pierce? No? No? You know what? I'm just so mad at myself again. I thought I pressed the button. I'm just going to kill myself for doing that. It's enough. Just better. I'm just mad at myself. Like a minute, and no. Crap, I shouldn't have died. I'm gonna have to go all the way back. But you know, I just deserve that for just muting myself. So basically what I said was, we'll get into the accessibility thing, but you guys said that I was making up stuff about this Tom King storyline. Oh brother, we gotta go all the way back. It's this woman here. You asked me if I was going to do Undead Nightmare, and I said, depends if you guys want me to do it. I heard that it's actually a very good game, because it's an expansion to this one, but it's also like an alternate history sort of take on it. So we'll see. I also read your comment about saving Sister Sarah, which I said, oh, that'd be pretty interesting to see references to other westerns in this, and I said, oh, actually probably there are a lot of those here. It would make sense for there to be a lot of references to other westerns. And so hopefully you guys can hear me now. I think you guys can, right? Please tell me. And thank you for telling me, of course. So let's travel in this stupid horse. Alright. I think we can now get into the second topic, since you guys started talking about Alana Pierce, which, yeah, we're going to be diving into that whole discussion. And of course, it's about video games, it's about difficulty, and yeah, I think everyone, and I also said, I don't know if you guys heard me say this, but essentially I said that a lot of people are turning against some of the Gunn's choices, but I think you guys heard me say that. But I think in general, people are going to be very forgiving to him. They're going to be very forgiving of James Gunn. There we go. Let's just maybe find this woman and see what happens. Here we go.
What are you doing, amigo?
Nothing.
Why'd you kill her?
I didn't kill her. I wouldn't do a thing like that. Sure, I eat her, but
Why'd you kill her?
What the
Why
flip?
Are you digging her up?
what business is it of yours, huh?
He killed her.
Oh. You still want to lay with her? Huh?
You sold her. You let her go.
No. A good whore never leaves, man.
Do I get my money back now or after I've killed you?
Ooh. Let's do it.
God dang whore, man. A god dang filthy whore.
As you say, she was just a whore.
Pinche.
Now come on.
Did you guys hear me talk about like the different interactions in this world? And how, you know, you can, it's very spontaneous. I think you guys may have heard me. Alright. Easy. I never know what, like, how to master these, but I always end up winning, so doesn't matter. Eva in peril complete. That's kind of sad. Gotta admit. It's just sad how she died for nothing, but at least we got our money back, plus more. So, I think we ended up in a good spot. Where's her body? Let's find it. Can we interact with it? I mean, I didn't want to make it seem weird, but I meant like, can we pay our respects? That's what I meant, guys. Don't be getting funny ideas. Wait, can you guys still hear me? Because I don't see anybody responding, and I'm scared. I think we should be fine. Can you guys hear me? Yes, good. Thanks, Moodcap. Okay, that's all I needed. So yes, let's get into what's up, Hoske. We just talked about the whole situation with the Superman outfits. All right, we've got crazy Alana in the house. While we go on our fetch quest. Today we're planning to do all these like smaller tasks like these ones. So it's still kind of like story related somewhat. Hoske is on Twitch, of course. Alright. Where is my... Here we go. So yes, to kind of paint you a picture of what's happening here.
The day has finally come. The people have finally...
Alana Pierce is a former IGN writer. And that's all you need to know, really. Just kidding, no. She is somebody who worked in this industry as a journalist. And then she's moved on to game dev. She worked for Insomniac and then apparently Santa Monica Studios as a... Well, I think we'll find out who. From what I've heard, she was hired as a writer, but it seems like her positions have shifted over time. And she's still a YouTuber. After she left IGN, she still made YouTube videos. And she still keeps it live, running and alive and well. She is a gamer girl, so that's already kind of a red flag, but oh well. And she recently made a video talking about the whole Elden Ring situation, because as some of you don't know, Elden Ring just dropped a brand new expansion, and we won't get into any spoilers whatsoever because I haven't played the game and I don't want to spoil it for myself. Plus, it's kind of hard to spoil because there's just so many things about the game, so it's really impossible to spoil. And what happened? People started complaining on Steam. A lot of newbies, a lot of fresh, I don't know what you want to call them, fresh players, nobodies who refused to get good. They were complaining that the DLC was too hard. And this is something that, you know, Soulsborne or Souls-like games, you know, people love those games because they are so difficult. And for that reason, when people got to play, there it is, when people got to play Elden Ring, like those longtime fans, they were kind of disappointed with how easy the game was, right? They were like, Elden Ring, there's just something about this game that's too easy. No, let me go. I'm being held captive by my horse. And, I guess I already touched it, okay? So yeah, longtime fans were kind of disappointed with it. Well, maybe not disappointed. They wanted a lot more from Elden Ring. They wanted to be more difficult, and they introduced what you would call summons, right? Summons are these, I would call them things that make the game easier during combat. It's stuff that makes the game somewhat easier. And it's like you can, I think, summon like an assist, like a different soldier who helps you. That's just my speculation, but I think that's what it is. And hold on. All right. And yeah, people were kind of disappointed, but Elden Ring was extremely popular 2 years ago because, I mean, it was just popular. I think it was just that lightning in a bottle moment where, you know, and the Souls games were already popular, just to be clear, but Elden Ring just blew past all expectations, partly because of all that goodwill from the Souls community, because it's been hailed so much that I think really added to people's excitement for it. Plus, it was the most accessible one. Speaking of accessibility, I'm gonna use it in different terms, but speaking of like whether a game is good or easy to pick up. Let's just help this guy. Hold on. No, I don't want a knife. Hold on. Ah. How is this dog still alive? There we go. Oh! Sorry, buddy. Didn't mean to push you around like that. I just saved your life, so hopefully we're okay. And what did I say? Yeah, so basically the DLC released, and people who were relying heavily on these summons ended up getting extremely mad because the game was just too hard for them. They couldn't stand it. Oh yeah, and like it was basically a perfect storm of all that goodwill from the fans and it being the easiest of the games that people just played it, and it became a fast, huge seller for the company. And then the DLC came out, and it turned out that yeah, it's actually it's a lot more like those Soulsborne games. It's a lot harder because it doesn't have like cheap tricks that you can resort to. And yeah, that's essentially why a lot of newbies who started with Elden Ring, and they were just upset because they were mad that the game was just too difficult, even though again they just get good. It's a skill issue, and I really do like the Dark Souls community and like the Soulsborne community for not taking any of it, and them just criticizing those people online. And like if you see the post of somebody like IGN reporting about like all the downvotes, you will mostly see people who are who are basically defending From Software. And even when IGN try to kind of like spin it even more by saying that the creator Miyazaki he even has to like resort to like some of the cheaper tricks in those games to beat them. And like they put that out, and so they were trying to make it seem like he couldn't beat his own games. And then the entire comment section was basically saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. He doesn't have to beat the game to create masterpieces." And it's like you just had people making hilarious comments about how, it's brothers just making amazing games without needing to play them. And it's just that sort of support I really much admire. It's very positive. People who say fans are toxic they don't know what they're talking about. I think it's always the people who want to change stuff around that are toxic. And I think we need to bring back purism and gatekeeping, but mostly purism, because I think gatekeeping might be a little bit, I don't know if that's a harsh word, but I don't think it is. So I think gatekeeping should also be allowed. But that purist approach, I think, is necessary, because it's really about maintaining standards and making sure that stuff just doesn't go to crap. And the Dark Souls community, alongside the Lord of the Rings community, as we saw, the fandoms. I'm all talking like some kind of weirdo. Community. The LGBTQ plus community. Everything's a community nowadays. Oh, the comic book community. Shut up. Not everything is a community. A community is where real people see each other, where they kind of get to interact. And that's what a community is supposed to be. Not some fake. See, this thing is here, and I always want to go to it. Okay, so apparently around this area we can find the plants that we're looking for. So let's look for and so yeah, stupid word community. But yeah, I'm just proud of like the fans of these properties who are just not allowing. Whoa, dude, what happened to you? Miss? What happened here? What the heck? What the heck is going on here? What just happened, guys? Lady, she killed her husband. And then she drank herself to death. And now this eagle has her eye on her. That's crazy. How sad. Let's see what they have. It's like hilarious. This game should be taking away honor from you just for like stealing from dead corpses and just from anyone. And how is, I guess skinning is okay, right? Skinning animals, even though it's my horse sometimes that I can kill. Yeah, this game is crazy, man. Like where else did you see this sort of stuff? It's a bunny, look. I already lost him. Plus, we gotta get some red sage. Is this what I think it is? Where is this plant? I can't get it? Why? Oh! Okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. We don't have to shoot it too many times. Oh, that's crazy. Why can't I take it? Is it too big for me? Is that it? Weird. Alright, let's get into this. So yes, it's a big point of discussion how, and then we got into like this whole accessibility discussion of like, wow, games are just too difficult for disabled people and people who are disabled can't beat this game. And it's like, what? How did we get here? So let's get into it, and you'll also get my takes on the accessibility thing. And now, before maybe we start, let's just read some of your... Oh my gosh! Why do I keep doing this to myself? Every single time. Every single time I should just pause. Steven, going back all the way back, since I want to get this in. Alana Pierce is so hot, but also a bit off. Not just a bit, you know, she has her weird moments. So, accessibility, to an extent, are okay. The features. But it can open up games to normies and people who don't like it, who would then request changes that change with what fans like about those games. More save points are good in my opinion, but I've never played Souls-like games, so I decay if that's what those fans want. I don't think it is. I think they like the bonfire system. Fuck, where'd I go? I think accessibility are a good thing since it can help disabled people like myself when there's some stuff in games. And then Steven says, makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong on the how thing. Maybe you are, and maybe I'm not insane. But knowing Tom King, he probably went back again to make him just Jewish. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. And also Moodcap says, I think it depends because there are some people who have actual disabilities and then people who just suck at the game and want it made easier. Alright, good. Great. So that's a great way to segue into Steven. I remember that was there was a Clint Eastwood movie. I kind of alluded to that before. And I alluded to Undead Nightmare. So it depends if you guys want to see it. If I think it'd be cool, right? But alright, Steven. Last comment before we get to the video. Okay, hold on. I gotta get to Steven's latest comment and Moodcaps. Moodcap says, gatekeeping is fine, since they're gonna accuse fans of doing it anyway. Totally agreed. The reason why I said like purism, I guess that sounds even more condescending than gatekeeping. So I guess gatekeeping is maybe the way we should go about it in terms of how we're gonna present it and tell it to people. I think we can take it back, and I think we're already doing it. I think people are already more okay with the word gatekeeping, so that's good. I heard horse meat is tasty. Rise of Tomb Raider allows you to booby trap corpses of enemies that you killed. Not sure what those two sentences had to do with one another, but you know, is it tasty? Maybe. All right, so yeah, let's get into it. What is she saying?
Day has finally come. The people have finally spoken. So listen up.
Yeah, the video is called Elden Ring DLC is too hard in quotations, and then in parentheses, it's not. So she's on the side of, no, Elden Ring is not too hard. So far, off to a good start with the title. How could this go south? All right.
Miyazaki. Elden Ring's DLC is too hard. I have like a couple of like kind of very different branching takes to me.
Wait, Hosuke. Yeah, I saw that. If you defend something like that, you're delusional. What are you referring to, Hosuke? That is what we call a puss. Yes, it is definitely a puss. But what were you referring to just then?
In this video, I am going to talk about accessibility and why I think accessibility is really important and how common of a conversation accessibility is.
So why does she want to get into accessibility when she was going to make it about difficulty?
Games are
Just something to keep in mind.
And why I do think it would be great if disabled players could play Elden Ring, even though it is already currently their most accessible game. There's a lot of room for improvement.
So hold on, fans are talking. Hosuke says the costumes from earlier. Oh, okay, thank you for the clarification. So people are complaining about the difficulty of the game, and now she's making it about accessibility, which I can see how you would maybe perhaps go into that. But there is a distinction. There's a clear distinction.
Talk about. I don't even know where to start.
There's a reason.
There are a bunch of negative reviews on Steam for Elden Ring because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people do, I never thought that they would admit it. Now, it's worth noting that the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot
Oh
of
my
the reviews
gosh.
on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems.
Too
with
many
the
crazy
content there. They are
cats.
consistent, and that's a separate story that I've spoken about before that people did not want to hear, which is that, yeah, FromSoft really gets a pass for a lot of things sometimes. Like, the reviews were all 10 out of 10, even though most of these people are playing on PC, and there are PC performance problems with these games. Those are totally valid, and thankfully have been patched. So, though, has the difficulty. There are, like, two sides of this, right? Okay. There's a thing when people talk about FromSoft games that I always find really interesting. People will say, but it's part of the appeal that, like, you're fighting something really hard and then you finally overcome it. That's part of the appeal of the games.
Yes, it is.
No. While
What?
there are things that FromSoft games do incredibly well, like, I am obsessed with their boss designs and their animation. Like, for all the things we love about it, their bosses are so impressive in terms of art direction and animation. They don't even need to.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're just so good at that. The sense of discovery is unparalleled. The uniqueness of the worlds is unparalleled. Like, there are a lot of things that FromSoft games do really well. But saying part of the appeal is beating the... It's not part of the appeal. It's the entire design of the game. It's the whole game. It is...
Yes, it is the whole game, but part of the appeal is that you're not going to get a difficult game. It might be an over-exaggeration because there are a lot of difficult games, surprisingly enough. But people are saying part of the appeal is the difficulty, which is factually true. So you're trying to kind of like swindle your way out of this thing where it's like, no, difficulty is not a part of this conversation. It is, okay?
The core ethos, the core game design of any FromSoft game is that you are supposed to approach a boss, be willing to die the first several times. As you assess their moveset, you figure out the puzzle that is beating this boss. You've retained information about their movesets, about what kills you, about how you can avoid it, and you roll into them. And then after a certain amount of deaths, which are to be totally expected, if you beat an Elden Ring boss in less than like 3 deaths, in my opinion, that's an RNG fluke and not you playing
Oh,
the
really?
game well. The big
What?
part of the game is learning how that stuff works.
Yes, and learning is part of the difficulty curve. Oof. Steven, I'm going back to your older comments when I deem them to be appropriate, like an appropriate moment to go back to them. Alana is the meme of the hotter a single girl is, the crazier that she is. I can fix her. Honestly, yeah, she kind of looks better than she did before, and I'm like, what? In her IGN days, she kind of looked like, I don't know what. But she was definitely like, out of all the hosts they had, she was at the very bottom. And she's changed her look. I remember her inside gaming. IGN writers love Sony movie games because when they're set on easy, it's literally just an interactive movie, says Mudcap. Yeah, and even on higher difficulties, they can sometimes be that still. Like, there's too much dialogue in games like God of Ragnarok. God of Ragnarok, beautiful. Can I even pick this up? What is the point of this? You guys can see the symbol on the map. There we go. There it is. There is the red stage, and I need to pick up 5 of these, I think. Let's see.
The point. You go in there, you gather that data, and then you finally beat them. That is the point of these games.
Yes,
The whole point
it's
is for them to be
difficult.
extremely challenging. I do think that people complaining about
What? What? I need to go back to this. First she's like, no, it's not part of the appeal. The difficulty is not part of the appeal. And then she's like, yes, the challenge is what people crave for. Just go back a bit.
fall into them. And then after a certain amount of deaths, which are to be totally expected, if you beat an Elden Ring boss in less than like 3 deaths, in my opinion, that's an RNG fluke and not you playing the game well. The big part of the game is learning how that stuff works. That's the point. You go in there,
Whoa,
gather that
hold
data,
on.
be fluke and not you playing the game well. The big part of the game is learning how that stuff works. That's the point. You go in there, you gather that data, and then you finally beat them. That is the point of these games. The whole point is for them to be extremely challenging. I do think that people complaining about the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean just pay attention to
So, did I just maybe not hear her correctly? But I thought she said just a minute ago that the difficulty is not the appeal of those games. Did she not say that, guys? Did she not say that? Am I just adding words to her mouth? Let's go back.
Oh, it's worth noting that the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot of the negative reviews on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems, which are there, they are consistent. And that's a separate story that I've spoken about before that people did not want to hear, which is that, yeah, FromSoft really gets a pass for a lot of things sometimes. Like, the reviews were all 10 out of 10, even though most of these people are playing on PC, and there are PC performance problems with these games. Those are totally valid, and thankfully have been patched. So, though, has the difficulty. There are, like, 2 sides of this, right? Okay. There's a thing when people talk about FromSoft games that I always find really interesting. People will say, but it's part of the appeal that, like, you're fighting something really hard and then you finally overcome it. That's part of the appeal of the games. No. While
She is contradicting herself. What the flip, woman? You are, like Steven said, she is just out of bounds.
the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean just pay attention to the things the game gives you that can make it way easier. That's not to say you're not allowed to complain, okay? We are also really weird. I'm already tangenting inside my tangent. We are really weird about acting like FromSoft games can't be criticized. They are immune to criticism. Like, you are allowed to complain about finding it too hard or feeling like a certain boss isn't balanced or feeling
Yes.
like a hitbox is,
You're allowed to
you can
you're
complain.
allowed to complain about, like, oh, this is too hard. But then to thumbs down the game, and say, oh, it's awful because of that. No, it's like, hey, you're allowed to struggle and voice your opinions, but then to say, you know, that's why the game sucks. It's like, you can say that stuff like I say it sometimes, but you don't really mean it. You're just kind of mad in the moment. But I do mean it when it comes to Spec Ops: The Line. That game sucks.
about those things and be valid. Stop acting like any criticism of a FromSoft game makes you a fake gamer. First tangent completed. I apologize. Back to the video. Course correcting. Patch dropped for the DLC, meaning that
If you beat any of the Souls games, I think you should be. I think that's respect, you know? It's like, it's hard to do. So respect to you.
this to me would indicate that FromSoft, gonna lean over a little, kind of agrees with the criticisms, which is pretty nuts. Miyazaki did say that he wanted Shadow of the Erdtree to be the hardest thing they ever made, and it seems like that worked very well. People are finding it extremely difficult, even people who have been a long-time FromSoft fan. That was the intention. I mean, it would have been crazy to let you just like finish Elden Ring and then just continue as though you were still playing Elden Ring. Like, they did have to up the difficulty for the DLC to even justify its own existence, in my opinion. But basically, attack and damage negation curve scaling of the Shadow Realm blessings have been revised. The attack and damage negation has been increased for the first half of the maximum amount of blessing enhancements, and the second half will now be more gradual. The attack and damage negation granted by the final level of blessing enhancements has been slightly increased. So again, I take this to mean that they like kind of agree, and they were like, oh, we maybe did make this too hard. Okay, our bad, which is super interesting. But
Or maybe they're going back on it and they're bending the knee. I don't know.
there are things about this that
By the way, we're not only going to make this about Elden Ring. You don't have to worry about it. But it is a conversation starter.
oh my god, I have so many opinions. This video is gonna turn out so messy. First, Shadow of the Erdtree tells you what you need to do to get good. And I think really, it just requires patience. You may be familiar with scatter tree fragments. I'll keep this quick in case you literally are familiar, but basically, this is effectively a means of an accessibility feature that exists inside of Shadow of the Erdtree because it is optional, and I love that they've done this. So, Scatter Tree Fragment is a new upgrade material in Elden Ring, debuting in the Shadow of Erdtree DLC. Scatter Tree Fragments are optional consumables that can be used to enhance simultaneously offensive and defensive capabilities at any sites of grace, acting like a permanent boost to your DLC damage dealt and damage negation. Basically, you go find these things, they will make you stronger in the game. If you are having trouble with a certain boss, you literally just have to go find these things. They are made solely for the DLC, they only work in the DLC, they do not work in the base game. They are there specifically for players who are having trouble with any bosses that are already there, which is totally fine, by the way. You're allowed to have
So it
trouble.
does sound like, I mean, the way she's painting it, and I don't know how much of this is her being dishonest. Maybe it's her just trying to claim accessibility where it really isn't. But if the way she's phrasing it is that, yeah, they did give people a lot of opportunities to, you know, slack off a bit. And so, you know, I don't know exactly what and why, because I haven't played the game. But that's something worth noting, right? Maybe is she even telling the truth? Is she being honest about this?
You're allowed to find it hard, but they have been put in
It doesn't
the game
really matter, though.
to give you that option. I love that they make this stuff optional. That it's like, yes, you have to go through effort to be able to do this, and in theory, you need to look up or walk through to find the locations of them. But I love that it's like a thing that is available to all players who are having trouble. Leave the boss. Coolest thing about Elden Ring in general, for again, where accessibility is concerned, when new players to FromSoft games are concerned, is that you can just leave at any time. Go find these. The DLC will become easier for you. That is, they put it in there for you, and I just feel like maybe a lot of people have missed it, which I guess is like part of also the design of Elden Ring, right? Is like, FromSoft games don't over-explain anything to you. But yeah, I'm finding this stuff very funny. These games are hard. We should be allowed to criticize things we don't like about them. They're not immune to criticism. I do feel like Shadow of the Erdtree literally has told you the thing that you can do to make it easier. But same time, them patching it would imply to me that they're also like, maybe a bit much, which is funny. I'm not telling you to get good. I'm telling you to use all of the features available to you to cater your experience, which is the coolest thing about accessibility in general. It is time to talk about the incredibly cool Virtual Pro XR glasses. If you haven't heard me talk
Alright,
about
let's skip her promotion here. And let's read your comments. Going back to your older comments too. Steven agrees with Moodcap's previous comment about IGN writers who love movie games. Also, they probably feel more prestigious since movie games put them closer to being movie journalists, which is more established. I see something similar in MMA, where MMA journalists meet. They tried boxing because they wish they were boxing journalists, since that industry is established. Interesting about the box and MMA. The people, says Moodcap, the people complaining about Elden Ring don't understand that some games aren't made for everyone. Soulsborne games are made for people who want a challenge and get good. That's a great point. I agree with it. Gatekeeping, I already read that one, but that's if you're gonna ask me about my take on accessibility, and I'll take a look at the poll on Instagram in a moment. Maybe people will totally disagree, but I think accessibility has become a very, and I think you can already start to see it in this video, but the word accessibility is purposefully being conflated with other things. And I think you can have something for disabled people because the disability thing, right? It's just so vague. There are so many disabilities and they're not all equal to one another. So in trying to please everyone, you're not going to please anyone at all. And so that's a huge problem. You can't do that. You have to stick to one coherent vision. You have to set your rules, your parameters, and you have to stick to something. And then you can maybe have like an assist mode or like something along those lines, an accessibility mode maybe, but keep it separate from the core game. And by the way, things like bigger font size, or I don't know, better audio, right? I think that stuff could be in the main game. It only took one shot. Well, there we go. There's a different monster here. And I'm overreacting every single time, so I'm like, shoot it 15 times. But yeah, it's like you can have some of these features in the main game, but I wouldn't call those disability helpers, right? And I think the word accessibility is purposefully vague, where it's like, oh, accessibility. When you first hear accessibility, you think, oh, awesome. And then you learn that it's specifically tailored to people with disabilities. And you're like, what? How do we get from this? Oh, I guess it's inclusive language. Okay. So yeah, we're looking for these flowers, by the way. Anyway, so that's my take on the whole thing. I will get more specific as we get into this, because we will also get into like who even came up with this. But I do think that the whole accessibility thing is very much part of the whole DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion quota. It very much is. Don't think it's not. It is part of that Marx. Oh, rattlesnake, get away. It is part of. Let's see if I get killed. Good. Oh no, I didn't make it. Where is it now? Where are you? Just ran away. It very much is part of that attempt to kind of like make everything more inclusive. And that's always a double-edged sword. Always. Because we all know what they mean by it, or what they want to accomplish by that. Did you know there's a disability month now? Apparently. Just get him to... Where's the stupid eagle? Why do I overreact with like 15 shots? Okay.
I have never understood why players would ever argue against more customization options.
There you go. There it is. There you go. There she did it right here. I like accessibility. I don't understand why players would ever hate more customizability options. She did it right here. She conflated customizability with accessibility, or what they're calling it, right? Or like really dumbing down the game. Because I want to put this into perspective. take something like The Last of Us Part 2, that game was hailed for its accessibility features, right? Hailed. Because it really did some innovative stuff. And like for colorblind people, you know, they could see the characters more. And they did a lot of great stuff, right? Here's the thing. You can also, and this, anyone can do this in the game. They can play the hardest difficulty, but they can individually make the enemies weaker. Every single enemy can be like extremely weak. And you'll still get the, by the way, you'll still get the hard difficulty trophy for completing the game, even though you can literally turn everything else to the lowest difficulty, but you can still call it the hardest difficulty, right? And so there are actual videos of this where your stealth gameplay, you can literally stand in front of an enemy in The Last of Us Part 2 on the hardest difficulty, and no one will notice you. There will literally be an enemy just kind of like looking over you, and you're like, is this NPC dumb? Like, what is happening? And those are the accessibility features. And you are ruining the game. I think people need to become more purist about this stuff, because listen, I look at video games as an art form, and then that means I take it seriously, which means that we have to really get down to like what makes something artistic, and it's about a vision that has to lend itself to a coherent, like I said, vision, but it really has to like form something. And if you have multiple versions of it, that tells us that it starts to separate itself from the art, because if it's for everyone, or it can be experienced in so many different ways, it starts to become like, whose vision was this? And then it's like you get into, again, The Last of Us Part 2 example. You create something that is laughable. It can become laughable. It doesn't have to be laughable. Depends how you play it. And again, it was done for disabled people, but how is making the enemies weaker for disabled people? Maybe it has something to do with reaction time. But at a certain point, you should just say stop. You can do features like, hey, for those who are hard of seeing or hard of hearing, for those people we can like do stuff. But if it starts impacting the actual flow of the game, that's where it crosses the line. That's where, at that point, you're creating a different game that is now broken, literally broken. I, as a player, can just go to the settings called accessibility, not even for disabled people or something along those lines. It's accessibility, very, very generic phrasing, very vague as well. And you kind of look at that, oh, that's okay, what is this? And you see you can do that, and anyone, even I, can do it. And I can make all the enemies extremely weak and stupid, and I can make them like the NPCs in Spec Ops: The Line with my buddies who just keep jumping into the line of fire. I can turn my enemy NPCs into that, and you've ruined the game. And so now imagine trying to bring that sort of conversation over to the Soulsborne community. Imagine a scenario like I just described to you with The Last of Us, where you have an enemy just staring blankly on the wall, or like staring straight at you, but then it's like, oh, they're so stupid because you've made them so weak that they can't even see you, even when you're standing right in front of them, even when you're standing right under their nose. Imagine if that were the case for Dark Souls or for Elden Ring. You're really going to piss off the community, because then you are crossing the line. And what that does, because people say, oh, you don't have to play that way. It doesn't matter. You've compromised your vision, and that means that there is no one definitive way of playing the game. So that means at that point, anyone, you have so many different experiences. So people who say, oh, that's game of the year for me, somebody else could say, well, not for me, because you know, the game was just ridiculous in that one aspect, and you're like, well, I didn't have that issue because I played on this in difficulty with this setting, with these settings. It's already a problem with different difficulty settings. That's why you got like easy mode, hard mode, and all that stuff. You should usually have just one. That, and you should do everything in your power to, as a developer, to perfect. That's what the art of video games should be, to create one coherent vision that, you know, you find a way to create a level design that is, and then balance the enemies in such a way that you can really do something incredible with that. And even though there's a learning curve involved, that's what it takes. And not everyone is going to be able to beat it, but that's part of what makes it a piece of art. It's because it's not always accessible. And yeah, that's a great way of going about it, because not everything has to be accessible, which is hilarious, because that's why they call them accessibility features, I guess. But not everything is supposed to be accessible. Something that is too hard for me doesn't have to be easy. It can be easy for somebody else. And, you know, there's also like preferences. So some people are better at racing games versus horror survival games versus, I don't know, fighting games, and all that. You can easily just make your game totally meaningless by introducing these mechanics, and everyone has a totally different experience. So you're changing all these things about a game, and I think like these accessibility features, throw them out the window, focus on customizability. Because look, think of it this way. All these things about like, oh, you can make the font bigger for people who have vision impairment or all that stuff, or you can like have your characters appear more visible, right? Like make them turn like, you know, the NPCs are just colors as opposed to fully rendered characters, or they have that like glow on them, for example. Let's say that's a feature you can kind of switch in settings. I'm fine with that. And why can't you just put that under customizability? Why do you have to? And then that's the problem. It's like you're trying to take customizability, like Alana Pierce here is trying to do, and you're trying to say, well, that's accessibility. No, you're trying to you're trying to purposefully blur the lines of what accessibility is, because you want to make it relatable to everyone. And then trying to make it relatable to everyone, you are trying to sell this idea to us. No, you're trying to appeal to me and everyone else by saying, well, it's beneficial to everyone. Literally, it's even beneficial to you. No, it's not. Why? Because I like experiencing a vision, an artistic vision of a developer. It might be garbage, it might be good, but at least I want to know that somebody actually made this, and that there is one way to experience it, or close to one way. You know, that's why I think the normal mode, if you call it normal mode, you know, that's like, okay, that's an indicator that is probably the usual way you should experience it. I know some developers go a step further and they say, you have so many different difficulties, for example, and they say, this difficulty is the intended way to play the game. Perfect. That's a good way of kind of doing that too, with multiple difficulties. But anyway, let's see what she does. As you can see, people will be constantly conflating customizability with accessibility, with games for the disabled. If I wanted to play Resident Evil 4, I play Resident Evil 4. Says Far Cry Lego in response to what Woodcap was saying, and Woodcap said, I remember killing a guy right in front of another in The Last of Us Part 1 on hard mode, and he didn't notice. The Last of Us is basically Resident Evil 4 without all the fun stuff. By that I mean gameplay. Ooh, nice. Were you so? And that was without you changing the accessibility settings. That was just you normally playing the game. Yeah. Let's listen to what she's got to say. But yeah, you will see this all the time. And I know that some of you may be disabled and all that stuff. And that's also a point I think we'll get to, right? If you are disabled. Again, but then it's like, it's such a vague word. At a certain point, you have to cut it off, where it's like, okay, it's no longer about customizability. Now you are genuinely changing the essence of a game. Woodcap says, I miss the old Kratos. Far Cry Lego says, nah, you just need to get good at Spec Ops. You've seen me play Spec Ops. You've seen those NPCs, the ones who are supposed to be helping me, and you know for a fact that they are the ones who are getting shot. It's all there. And also the cover system is awful. You can just kind of like just go out of it just by moving your analog stick back. It's like, I didn't want to do that, but okay. The game is just poorly designed all around. And Far Cry Lego says, yeah, I know. Just messing with me, I guess. Yeah. But I just want to make sure that I'm, hey, I'm trying. Yeah, of course I can get better. That's why I'm playing on hard mode. You press R2. If you press R2. Alright, to make them fire. Haha. I get it, man. You just want me to shoot them. Let's see if I missed any comments. Moodcap, the people complaining about Elden Ring don't understand that some games aren't made for everyone. Soulsborne games are made for people who want a challenge and get good. I read that one, I guess, but it's a good comment too. And Far Cry Lego says to make them fight for you, bro. Oh, like command them. Oh, I see. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that with healing, for example. That's something I picked up on last time during playing the game. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I can tell this guy to heal him. Although sometimes it didn't work, but in most cases now that I do it, it works. And I'm trying to use it a lot more now. I'll do it more in combat. But at the same time, it's like, guys, we're under fire. Why aren't you... Do you really need me to tell you who to shoot? And it's like, at the same time, it's like, even then, at the very least, I expect you to not just walk into the line of fire, just stand there in the middle of everything. Like, that makes no sense at all. That should not be a result of no action, right? If I'm not using them, their default should be to kind of like hide, stay in the background, and it would be me doing the solo act. No, it's them pushing forward without my consent, without my permission, and that's what they're doing. So it's just annoying, and those are the aspects that I don't appreciate. Yeah.
For this video, where I'm going to talk specifically about accessibility, and even
No, you talked about
just
customizability.
a lot of people really not understanding the conversation about accessibility and
Maybe because you guys always add these additional meanings to it, where it's like you're blurring the lines.
It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. And people are asking for accessibility.
Okay.
Are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent.
Here's
the thing.
Okay, so she says that's not the intent, but what do you get in effect? People who played The Last of Us in those settings, The Last of Us Part 2, in effect, the effect of that was that you could literally play on easy mode while you were playing on hard mode. Isn't that crazy? So you're saying it's not about that. Maybe that's not your intention. I believe that may not be your intention. But at a certain point, everyone should realize that that is what you're doing. You are literally making the game easier. And she's going to try to kind of respond to that subconsciously. So let's get to it.
Where accessibility is concerned. People who are disabled, I felt myself doing it, I'm going to do it, is another tangent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause.
Did you guys just hear that? That was like a huge thing she just said. Unhinged. She said, if you have a kid, your child, you in that moment, you are disabled because you have a child in the game. You have a child in your life. And you can't pause the game for that reason. And therefore you're disabled because if your kid is around, that kid is making you disabled. I can't believe what she's saying, but it is what she said, okay? And she will try to backtrack on this point in the comments because people were mad at her for saying that, rightfully so. Comparing a child to a disability, it's ridiculous. I understand that's not what you meant, and we're not making this about virtue signaling. But you should also understand the very fact of what you're saying is just downright ridiculous, and we're not taking our language that far. We're not taking our words to make it, we're not going to be using words like disability to describe children or kids. We're not doing that. Hey, Nimbus, I'm so glad you're here because you're the Elden Ring expert here. Elden Ring, and tell me if you heard of this. She said something about like you can find some kind of like palm tree in the game. Or palm tree, something. You can find something in the DLC that can make it easier for you. Maybe I'll go back to it if you don't know what she was talking about. Maybe we'll go back to it. But apparently you can like find something in the game that will boost your stats. And she likened that to accessibility. So we'll get back to it if you don't know what she was referring to. But yeah, Nimbus says Elden Ring takes it too far. We could always do summons NPCs or other players in other games, but it would amp the bosses in return for each extra person. But these new spirit summons items don't do that. It's more like they've made bosses disabled. Ooh, interesting. As you can watch your spirit summons distract a boss for no cost to you, while you keep your distance during the fight and hit the boss from the back. Essentially miss out on engaging with its attack patterns and aggression. There you go. So those were the summons. And the Eldritch Tree expansion DLC improved on that from what I've heard. And yeah, so again, it's like by adding in these vague accessibility options, which should be just customizability, and anything that veers into like making the experience different for the disabled person, you should make that a distinct mode at the very least. Like that should be I'm not saying that's the bare minimum. I'm saying the opposite. The bare minimum should be you have one type of game, preferably with one difficulty mode. And I'm saying this for every single game. One difficulty mode, one single game, one coherent vision, and honestly, there needs to be an overcorrection. We need to literally go back to the notion of one difficulty mode, because again, it goes back to video games being an art form. You need to have one vision, and yeah, it's what it's got to be. And anything that like, once you're adding accessibility features into your menu, your main menu, that just opens the door for people to do whatever they want. And it's not defined. It's like, which way is the right to play? And then, oh, we're being inclusive. Every single way is the right way to play. Well, F you.
The situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket, a power outlet. In Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints, but when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow, so trying to get that one out of my vocab. And there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist.
Yeah, just not to undersell the fact that she just likened kids to a disability. I'm just putting it out there. No, she called that a disability. Insane.
Temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one, long-term, people who have long-term disabilities. I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games, unironically.
Okay, that's... I want to be as mindful as possible, but at the same time, I can't. That's your fault, lady. Just stop playing video games. That's just like a fat person complaining that, oh, McDonald's made me fat, therefore McDonald's should be making me healthy even though I still want to eat your food. Stop being a fat ass and get off your couch and go to the gym and take a run. I'm sorry for your disability that you've brought upon yourself. That's on you for not being and I know it sucks. I know humans have limitations. I can't sit on my ass. I have to actually move around sometimes, and I hate doing it because I'd love to just sit and do nothing. But guess what? Maybe that's also a good side, that you have to touch grass, go outside, socialize with people, and not just sit all day and, to just watch as slowly your spine snaps in half, or you just get a hunch and you look like that guy from Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's like, lady, temporary. So now we have to make extra features for people who go out of their own way to make themselves disabled. And I know you weren't trying to, but again, that was you being irresponsible. What else do you want me to say? That was being irresponsible. Nimbus. She's talking about the leveling system in the DLC, which I think was fair enough because it's hard to scale enemies and bosses without a separate system due to how big Elden Ring is. I don't know if she was talking about the leveling system. Maybe she was. I'll go back to it. I'll go back to that moment just so that we're all on the same page when this video is over. So yeah, now she's talking about she moved from situational disabilities, which she said she referenced a child as a as a situational disability, and now she's talking about temporary disabilities, where you just run into temporary disabilities and you have to heal off over time in real life, and then you'll be back to playing games normally. No, then you should take a break from playing video games, period. And I know it's your job, but then that's got nothing to do with us. And frankly, for the game developers, what kind of excuse is that? Oh, you got to make this video game different, or you got to make it easier because I have this temporary disability. It's like, what? What do you think you are?
As a thing from tapping too much. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award show to highlight this particular thing. Is I have a lot of trouble with fighting games. I have a lot of trouble with any game that's really...
There you go. So she has skin in this. She wants to... What? They want me to enter the wagon? Okay. This is not going to end well for me, is it?
Good idea to smoke, right?
What? Are you guys insane? I'm not going there. I have better things to do. No way. Screw off. Oh. Well, don't worry. It's not going to explode. You guys go. Who do you guys think you are? Anyway. Losers. So she has skin in the game. She wants to... She was hired by Santa Monica to pay attention to accessibility features. Come on. You just exposed yourself. Why do that? No, but seriously. No, lady, no. Let's see. We're still here. Good. We're looking for red sages, for those wondering. We're looking around the wilderness for more flowers. And I want to have at least 11 of them. Which I think now we have 6. But yeah. And also she has an award show, which people who propagate accessibility, they're really... Again, this is just what happens, It's I understand the intention, and I know you think you're just doing something good and that you're not trying to change people's experiences playing the game. But in effect, that's what you are doing. That's what it's going to lead to eventually down the line. You're going to make the game easier if you can't have one coherent vision. Get good at fighting games, says Frog for Lego. Yes, it's you're now going to go after fighting games. There is no way you can change a fighting game without changing. If you're going to change how fighting games work, you're just going to ruin the genre for everyone. Like, do you know how much like skill goes into like the button combinations and like how hard it is to design and account for that, just just based off of these button presses? If you're going to try to make it about like something else, if you're going to legitimize that sort of style of play, I don't know, maybe you're using some kind of like totally different controller that's much easier to use, or maybe like you've turned on a setting that is like maybe less buttons to take care of and it's easier to perform combos. Like if that's what you're going to do, then you are going to ruin the game. You're going to ruin the genre, and it's no longer about skill, which that's what fighting games should be about. And again, balancing each character comes with every single combination, comes with every single button press that you make. If you're going to start making these fundamental changes, you're going to be ruining games for what they are. And yes, Word789, hey, good to have you. It is Alana Pierce. It's like Steven said earlier, the prettier the women get, the crazier they get. And that's what he was referencing here with Alana Pierce. And he said he can fix her. I don't think he can. Honestly, I'm doubting it. But yeah, she's off her pills, I gotta say. And I'm joking, of course. Let's see, red set. Yeah, we got 6. We got to find 6 more, and I think we just found another one here. Where are you? Yeah, let's listen to what else she's got to say.
Button mashy. If there are too many button prompts, I'm gonna be in pain.
That's
and have
your
to make a customer
problem.
afterwards and not really be able to play it.
Okay, then don't play those games. There are so many games. Like, I'm trying to play as many games as I can, and even I'm like, I gotta take a break because I'm just getting fed up with just playing games. I know it might sound crazy, but it's like, if you play games all day, it's just it's like too much of a good thing is going to become too much, right? So you just don't eat too much chocolate, because then you're going to have a stomach ache. And obviously, I don't even need to explain that. So yeah, just don't play those games. There are so many great games to play of different genres that would fit you a lot better than fighting games. So just don't play those. Don't play games that require a lot of button mashing. I don't care that I didn't abandon anything, game. I didn't even sign up for anything. Leave me out of this. I'm gonna get some kind of weird contractor coming for me who said, hey, you sold your soul, now you didn't deliver on this mission, now you're gonna have to pay with your soul for not doing it. It's like, no, I didn't sign up for anything. Get me out of this. Anyway, what is Alana Pierce saying now? Far Cry Lego, I know the characters of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 like an open book now, since I've been playing since 2011, aka since launch. Right, and you probably wouldn't want some people just coming in here and saying, yeah, now it's a lot easier to perform these combos. You wouldn't like that, I guarantee you. What is this? You guys are sleeping here? Out in the range? Sit at camp? Sure.
The thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned, I think there's a misunderstanding that people think disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being really fucking hard is also appealing to people with disabilities.
Okay, but then you're changing the game. If you're going to make accessibility changes to the actual game, then you're playing a different game. And there is no universe where you're going to make the difficulty for disabled players the same that you're going to make it for non-disabled people. That's just not going to happen. You didn't have to literally create a different mechanic, really. And you can do that, but it better not be in the core essential game. So I think she's, again, it's like, what are you talking about, Alana? How does this make any sense whatsoever, what you're saying? You've worked in game dev. don't you realize the implications of what it is that you're saying? Far Cry Lego says, I want them to learn. I've been saying this. I sent you a DM about Marvel vs. Capcom, bro. I'll check it out, thanks. But yeah, totally. Like, that's the beauty of like pulling off these combos. That's why you get so many of these amazing moments during tournaments. And like these beautiful combos, literally, sometimes they're like incredibly hard to pull off, and the things people do is insane. And now imagine just trying to open it up. Imagine saying, well, you know, because you made the comparison to like, oh, I want the appeal of difficulty in my games too. I want to play Elden Ring hard. I want to make it hard for myself too, but I'm disabled, and you gotta create a totally different experience for me because I don't have one hand or something. And it's like, maybe we can invest in a different type of controller for you that, you know, responds to you in a similar fashion, but we can access it with one hand instead of changing the actual functions and features within the game. How about that? I think I like that solution. Why is that so hard for people to try to do? It's like a 100 times better solution than whatever it is that you're trying to, like, you're not even providing any solutions, are you? You're just saying, that's the thing. It's like they want to conflate these disastrous design and mechanical, it's really mechanics too, mechanical changes, and they don't want to tell people about them until they find out. And it's like the dumbest thing ever. Because they want to get away with like just an overall inclusion of making everything accessible to everyone, but everything is different then. So it's not making it accessible. You've changed it to be anything now. Ew, look at this pig. I'm not even gonna skin that.
They too want to play the extremely hard game that is very hard.
Good.
They're not asking you
Play a
to
different
easy
game.
mode and make it easy for them to get through. They're asking for a version of the game that can be played with their particular disabilities.
But then you're creating a different game. Are we aware of that? Like, can you explain how would you translate it? Because I think there's ways of doing it in a way where you don't have to change the game. Like I said, you can just maybe create a different sort of controller. But then that's not the job. I guess it is sort of the job of the developer to like then apply it. Because like, look at the keyboard, right? It's like a totally different thing. Mouse and keyboard is totally different than a console controller, right? So it's like it can clearly be done, right? And even fighting games, speaking of fighting games, there are arcade sticks with certain button combinations, those 2 or 4 sometimes. It's like, yeah, you can create a different controller, and the developers can do that. They can work with this. But it has to be created first, and it's not the job of the developers to provide that controller. Okay, and so when you're asking developers to make that change, for them to be the ones who have to make changes to the game, then that's when you lose me. That's when you are destroying the game. Instead, what you should be doing is, okay, create a controller for those people, or a person who doesn't have a hand, right? And then you can take that controller and translate it to the mechanics of the game. You can't create an easier version of the game. And it's like, oh, but I have slower reactions. Okay. Well, then too bad. I think like at that point you can't even enjoy the game, because then you're just totally changing the game. And some games are not meant for everyone. Some games are easier and the reaction time isn't as necessary.
So they can still enjoy really hard games as well. The complications with this conversation arise, I think, with Elden Ring specifically. Like, yeah, there are so many people who just dismiss it as like, shut up, who cares about you, you're disabled, which, you know.
Nobody has ever said that. What in the actual, nobody says, who cares, shut up, you're disabled. Maybe somebody who's trolling or like being mean for the sake of it, but even then I haven't seen anyone say that. because the conversation has always been about difficulty. Again, she's conflating difficulty with customizability. Sorry, difficulty and customizability with accessibility, and I think it's because she knows that's what it ends up changing to. But listen how I'm trying to approach accessibility versus how she's trying to do it. I'm trying to think of ways, okay, how can we build something that can still make this a very truthful experience to what it is like in the game, versus her, which is like, oh yeah, just make this special version for me where I can play this game, even though it's then a totally different experience. That's because she wants to change the game itself. And that's the problem. And that's what we've seen again with also like Marvel Spider-Man 2. You can do the exact same thing. You can what's it called? You can play on the hardest difficulty, and yet you can also change the enemies and make them extremely weak. You can do auto aim, which maybe on consoles you have some kind of excuse to have auto aim, or like playing with a controller. That's debatable too, honestly. I think it is debatable. Because with auto aim, yeah, I think it's definitely debatable. I don't know where I lean on that. I think I'd be more against auto aim, although it's even in this game. I don't know if I can even turn it off. Stats. That's multiplayer, no. Options. Anyway, yeah. So that, like, her entire approach is to ask the developers to change the game. No, it should not be up to the developer to change this sort of stuff.
And people just assuming they're asking for easy mode, and that's not the case. It's not.
It
easy,
is, in
it's not
effect,
even
it
less
is.
difficulty, it's more options. But third,
It's more options that make the game easier. That's called an easier mode. Just because you're still playing on hard mode and then change every single variable to make it easier, yes, that makes it an easier mode.
the unique challenge with FromSoft games of completing them being such a point of pride. They intentionally make these games difficult. Like I already said, this is an established ethos of these games. They are intentionally very difficult. Elden Ring is the broadest, the most open. You can use summons if you want to. If you want it to be harder, you don't have to. You can approach it with as much or as little assistance as you want, and you have still completed the game. Controversial, I know, but yes, if you use summons, you've still finished the game. I don't care how you play it. Do whatever you want.
Okay, sure. You can complete the game with summons, but then what does that mean? It means that you are like the game itself, then that tells you that the game is, easier. And that in general, the game is easier and people might take issue with that, right? Summons are problematic, and therefore you can then judge the game and say, yes, this game is weaker because it relies so much, it relies more heavily on summons than the previous ones. And Nimbus did an excellent job at describing what the exact problem with the summons is in Elden Ring, whereas it's not a problem, it's not as much of a problem in the previous games, which also had summons. So it's not specifically about the summons that are the problem here. It's about the fact that you are just making your game dumber. And again, but still, you still have that, at least you have one experience, one vision, and everyone can chime in, and we're all looking at the same thing. We all play the same thing pretty much when it comes to like the essence of what the game is. And we can all criticize it and we can all disagree or agree, but we all have the same reference points. Not the case with these easier modes, yes, because that's what they are. I wouldn't even call them easier modes. I would call them like pathological modes, because it's like you're reaching levels of easy that are just chaotic, pure chaos. So it's like chaos mode is what I would call them, because it's like you can literally do everything.
But it's also just that whole culture of beating a FromSoft game is such a point of pride for people. And how do you
Sure.
avoid taking away that point of pride. That is one-to-one with their design ethos. It is making you feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something very difficult. It's a feeling humans love. You get a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something of value. Humans love that. And Elden Ring's like that in video games on crack. Like, if I feel a sense of accomplishment every time I get an achievement because I collected 50 Who's or Whatsits, it is like triple when I beat a boss in a FromSoft game. There are bosses in Sekiro where I beat them and I like threw my hands up in the air and screamed. There are so few other games that have that effect. And that's a feeling that I do think everybody should be able to have catered to their own accessibility needs.
You can't have that with every single person. Partly because some people are just dumber, and I'm not even talking about disability. Some people are just dumb. Some people are just incapable of beating a boss, and you don't deserve to have that moment. You're contradicting yourself. You can't always reach that level or reach that point just because you're not as good at the game, and you're not taking the necessary steps to do that. And so you're contradicting yourself, even just without the disability. Now put it like the whole disability and accessibility into it. You are changing the essence of the game. So again, it's like, oh, your beating the enemy was just like mine because, you know, it's this, we're playing the game that's the same name, but really we're playing a game with different difficulty spikes, and it's like not even comparable. It's not. And that's why I think even like difficulty modes are kind of just make one experience, and you know, that solves most of the problems really. And that takes a lot of skill, and that's what should be the standard. Developers who truly understand their craft, creating one coherent experience that tries to balance everything. And that doesn't mean that games have to become easy, far from it. It means that you have easy games that are super easy. It means that you have other games that are extremely difficult. And I think that's the beauty of what then you end up having, is that you have all these different games with so many different, like there's actual variety to the games now. I hated that. What did you hate, Far Cry Lego? Let's see what you guys are saying. I know someone who plays one-handed, says Far Cry Lego, with a normal controller, and they are so good at fighting games. Wow, that's interesting. So that argument is invalid. Fascinating. I mean, some people can't do it one-handed, but I can see how it would be a problem for other people. In that case, like, I don't have a problem with creating that sort of. And I just use that as like one example. You know, I'm talking about, maybe we could talk about like, oh, people without two hands, right? They have to play with their feet. So you have to create a controller for that, you know? But still, you still keep the same ideas, you know? But again, it comes down to like creating a controller, and that's not something that the developers are responsible for. That's something the publisher should be, well, not even the publisher, but well, the main company. Like, there are so many conglomerates. Microsoft could make something like that without a problem, right? And they could sell that to market without an issue. Mudcap, speaking of Spider-Man PS4, I hate how pointless stealth is in that game. You take out everyone silently only for another wave of them to appear and find out where you're hiding. I hated that, says Far Cry Lego. Yes, so true. I mean, like, at least, because I think the whole thing is like the first wave of enemies you defeated through by way of stealth, and then you don't have to fight all of them one-on-one or like with combat, right? You can just take them out with stealth, and then after that, you know, then you get next wave. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Plus, stealth in that game was abhorrent. I never got to that part in my review. I wanted to save that for part 2, but part 2 never came. Yeah.
Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the
What is the
problem
soft
surrounding
file?
Elden Ring, or
I don't know what that
games
is.
in general being so like just the
Like, look at this stuff.
discourse
Most of this stuff is customizability. It's like sensitivity, vibration, horse relative controls, inverted camera, that stuff is maybe like horse controls changes the, I would say like inverted camera controls also changes up the gameplay, but that's like a preference, and I think I would say most people don't play on inverted. On inverted, why would you play on inverted? That's just weird. Targeting mode in expert, whatever that is. Let's see what it is. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Can I go back? Okay, I still have this eye, so maybe gets rid of auto aim? I don't know.
Tested. Like, it's like I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with someone you didn't finish the game, that you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally
Oh, so you
intentionally
were
there.
making fun of
It would be
people.
like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you
Projecting.
used the scatter tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool that we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing or the unique challenges that we have, because we're all fucking different people.
Yes,
right? Here's my
but there
pitch,
are there
okay?
are limits. There are limits to it where you can really add things that can definitely destroy the balance of the game, and enemies that take skill, and the pride that you feel can just like that go away, and that anything can become extremely easy just because you decided to introduce that one thing that was supposed to make it easier for everyone. It's for everyone. It's meant to help everyone. Well, you just made your game boring. How about that?
Hear me. I haven't had this conversation with anyone, so I don't know how many holes there are, but this is my thought. What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share
Nope.
very easily?
Nope.
That details exactly how you finished the
That
game.
does not
Are people
solve the
gonna
issue,
reply to each
Alana.
other who share that and be toxic about it? Yeah, people are gonna be like, you summons, you died, and beat summons, and beat the game.
That doesn't solve the issue. She's saying maybe we should make the game more. Maybe we should create like this special screen for people who defeated the game on a certain difficulty or without summons, and we can create like a special ending for them, or like they get like a special screen. No, that does not solve the problem because you're still trying to hammer accessibility features down our throat, and the feeling of accomplishment is not just something that, oh, I did this without all those things. No, it's you doing something because the creators designed it to be that way, and you are just so inspired and enthralled, I guess is the better word, by the design of the game, and you were able to beat it, and you were able to make the most out of what the game gave you, that you were able to beat it. That one boss fight, it's not even about like beating the entire game in that manner. Like what you're talking about is like additional player, like I would compare that to speedrunners. Like nobody needs to like speedrun the game, but it is a way of replayability, but then that's in the hands of the player too. If you want to speedrun something and want to take on that sort of challenge, that's a totally different approach to how you kind of want to play the game, or like add mods to it and like change the game a bit more, or there is this YouTube channel that plays like a bunch of games, and one of his like video sticks is, I played Spider-Man without touching the ground. And that's awesome. Like you can do that on your own, and that's a different way to make it harder for yourself. Or like, I beat this game without punching. I only used counterattacks. And it's like, okay, you can do that yourself, right? And then that's something you can do, and you can find you can think that's fun. It's probably not fun to only use counters, but you get the point. It's like that's different from beating a boss, because that's how he was designed, right? I was playing Super Mario 3D World the other day, and I was just pretty mad at the game for making it easier, because if you died a lot, the game would just give you... What? Somebody wants something from me? Because you can just... Once you die multiple times, the game just gives you this power up. And I choose not to take it, right? But it ruins the game so much. It's like... It's your loss, buddy. I have better stuff to do. Like, it ruins the game because it's, you know, like, it's such a missed opportunity that you're able to create a game and then you're willing to go back on it. You're willing to, like, throw everything out the window and make it easy. And you're offering me this during the game. It's like somebody offering you drugs. It's like, okay, well, I didn't take the drugs. I was unaffected by them, but I still don't appreciate you walking around here offering me drugs like I'm just some stupid person. Like, don't do that. It's just stupid. It's needless. It's pointless, and you're wasting my time, and you're insulting my... No, I'm not going to say intelligence because that's already gone out the window. But at least my, like, honor, I guess. Can I say that? Maybe. You guys know what I mean. Like, just stop being stupid. There's no point of any... Like, there's no point in any of this. I think we got, like, 2 more flowers to find. Sorry. So let's see what else she's gonna say. So far, like, awful arguments, woman. Like, not even close to good. Like, you're all over the place, like you thought you were going to be, but no insight whatsoever. Like, you're being especially vague on purpose, and that's the whole appeal of accessibility. You're purposefully being vague about what it is that you're giving people so that you can make the experience different for everyone.
Yeah, people are gonna be dicks. But I feel like it would maybe prevent some of
You can't fix her, Steven. Wait, and plus, didn't she say she has kids, or was that like an example she gave? I don't know. Is she married? She looks like she'd be married by now.
the extra accessibility specific gatekeeping. Like all of these people who are vehemently against
Incoherent.
accessibility options, which is really again just in-game customization options.
No,
one
no,
else
it's
is-
not. It's not. It's really not. It's changing the game mechanics. See how she's purposefully trying to conflate these things? Difficulty with customizabilities, especially customizability. If you're going to try to conflate that with accessibility, then why don't you just make it customizability? It's just purposefully trying to make it one way. Are we next to this tree again? Oh no, it's something else. Good. Let's see if we have everything now. I think we need one more.
for less or more damage, but like less button presses or there's a large list of things that can make it
Play a fighting game with less button presses.
easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it, you know? But what if you get a screen at the end with the credits that
Nope.
shows exactly how
That
you
does
played
not
or
fix
what
the
options
problem.
you had on or off. In my head, this would alleviate a lot of that discourse.
No, it
People are
would
saying,
not.
like, no accessibility
Not.
whatsoever because I want to be able to play Elden Ring the exact way that I want to be
Nope.
able to play it. And I feel like those people are shooting themselves in the foot because what if they get one of those
Oh, we got a lot of them.
situational or short-term disabilities? You break your wrist, you're not going to be able to play Elden Ring. You have a kid suddenly.
Okay. Then I can't play them if I break my wrist. Unfortunately, if that happens, then I'm just going to have to live with not playing Elden Ring. There are other things in life that I can enjoy. There are other games in life that I can enjoy. Not everything needs to be about me. I don't need to be included in everything. She's single, sigh. Says Steven to Parker Lego. You can't fix her, says Parker Lego. She's a lost cause.
I'll play Elden Ring. Like, I feel like they say it when they don't have disabilities, but in 10 years, when you do have some kind of disability, I feel like you're going to retroactively kind of regret that you were like, absolutely not.
If I'd be a selfish person Yes, I would. But guess what? I'm saying this now. If I were like disabled and I have all these games, it's like, okay, well, too bad. Too bad for me. I just got to do something else. Like, oh, I lose a hand and it becomes much more difficult to play this game. You know, it's like there's so much more to life than just playing video games. I know it might sound crazy, but touch grass. Even if you don't have a hand, you can still touch grass. She is a lost cause, bro. So true, Farquhar. Like, I think she is. She has her moments too, I gotta say.
Don't change anything. I finished Tunic. That game rules and is very hard. And after I finished it, I beat the final boss that you don't even have to, well, spoilers. I beat
Spoilers. Okay, I'm gonna skip that because I want to play that game.
and felt so accomplished and so proud of myself. And I don't care that that mode is there, or that option is there to help other people who still want to experience the game without that. I think that's...
I want to play Tunic, but knowing that there might be something like that in the game already makes me kind of like want to not play it. And I don't know if like it's a separate mode, which I guess I'd be fine with. But if there's something like that in the game, and it's like very like that sort of stuff really makes me just so annoyed. It's like seeing the they them pronouns in stuff. It's like, just no, don't be there. Just stop. But it doesn't affect you. Yes, it does affect me. You just don't understand. It affects everyone. There you go. Accessibility helps everyone. No, yeah, it also harms everyone. So yes, it affects everyone. It's just, it's too complicated for you to grasp in what ways. I guess so. Dang, I thought Steven would put up a better fight. I guess you're just not a simpy enough.
perfectly fine. But I would have liked just a little something at the end.
So our second objective is to go to Red Safe for wife. What is that? Map. Wait, not map. Journal. Flowers for a lady. There we go. So we gotta go to the Red Safe. Hold on. Billy wants to give his wife a bouquet for their anniversary. Wild feverfew grow around Hennigan Stead. Red sage near Rio Bravo. Desert sage near Gaptooth. Oh, you gotta go to the Gaptooth area. Okay. Okay. Oh, I misspelled Red Sage. I wrote Red Safe, and that's why I was wondering what. Good. And I think we have enough of those. And we need Desert Sage in the Gaptooth region, which will be this area. Gaptooth Ridge. Good. I'm gonna go there. Good, good, good.
Even an achievement to give me the credit for doing the hardest fights on what is effectively the hardest in-game possible difficulty because I didn't.
Achievements are nice, but they don't fix the issue if you're gonna have
Elden Ring
accessibility.
is already the most accessible FromSoft game. If you're complaining about Shadow of the Erdtree being too hard, you don't have to play it. You are definitely allowed
There
to
you go.
criticize them. And I also think you should explore more because you will find another build or another means to make things easier. Like, I think you're being impatient is probably what's happening realistically. This is for people who obviously don't have accessibility problems. But what if, so that we could actually allow disabled players to play these games, which is a thing I care about, you just, the end of the game, you just get a screen.
That does not solve the issue. How many times are you gonna say that without actually addressing a different solution that you can have?
What options you did or did not have on. So people can still brag and still show off, because again, that is clearly a thing people like doing with these games. I just feel like it would solve a
It's
lot of
not
these
about
problems. It's
showing
really
off.
not about-
I don't show off to people if I beat a difficult game like Cuphead, right? It's like I take more pride in the fact that I finished it, but in the sense that I got to experience the whole thing for what it was. And that's really crucial to me. And a lot of people, because that's really what it comes down to. Getting to experience something for what it is and knowing that you got through it.
asking. Miyazaki, FromSoft, to make the game easier where accessibility is concerned. It's
Nope.
about allowing more people to play it. And sometimes people just need different settings
Get
to be
lost.
able to do that. More customization to be able to do that. Does it make sense? I feel like it makes sense.
We
Basically,
already
yeah,
have
I'm
Desert
just so
Sage.
surprised that we're in a timeline where literally enough people are complaining about it. Like, all of the games journalists gave it a 10 out of 10, but the Steam reviews, the gamers are the ones saying it's just too damn hard. For any of those people who do not have accessibility specific issues, you just gotta explore more, dude. You can do it. You can do it. I think you're being impatient. I
See?
think you can do it. And
Now
to the
she's
accessibility conversation
talking
that comes up
sense.
every single time FromSoft has a new game, I would love to see them have more accessibility options. I would not like to see them make the games easier or less challenging. And it's a difficult balance to strike, obviously, but I feel like I found kind of a solution. Let me know what you think.
Okay, and that's not the end of this whole thing. I don't know. Is Nimbus? He's here. Cool. So let me hear you,
The day has
Nimbus.
finally come.
Let me hear what you think of what she said here. Hold
People
on.
have
Let me
finally
find the
spoken.
place.
Design of the game. It's the whole game.
Hold on.
First, Shadow of the Erdtree tells you what you need to do
There you go.
to get good. And I think really it just requires patience. You may be familiar.
There you go.
with
So Nimbus, tell me if you're aware of this and what you make of it. What she's going to talk about now, as our Elden Ring expert here.
Scatter tree fragments. I'll keep this quick in case you literally are familiar. But basically, this is effectively a means of an accessibility feature that exists inside of Shadow of the Erdtree.
So yeah, tell me what you think about like the feature itself, and then if it functions as a accessibility feature or if it's just something that changes the difficulty.
Because it is optional, and I love that they've done this. So, Scattertree Fragment
It's
is a new
optional.
upgrade material in
Okay.
Elden Ring, debuting in the Shadow of Erdtree DLC. Scattertree Fragments are optional consumables that can be used to enhance simultaneously offensive and defensive capabilities at any sites of grace, acting like a permanent boost to your DLC damage dealt and damage negation. Basically, you go find these things, they will make you stronger in the game. If you are having trouble with a certain boss, you literally just have to go find these things. They are made solely for the DLC, they only work in the DLC, they do not work in the base game. They are there specifically for players who are having trouble with any bosses that are already there.
We can arm wrestle.
You're allowed to have trouble with Elden Ring. You're allowed to find it hard. But they have been put in the game to give you that option. I love that they make this stuff optional. That it's like, yes, you have to go through effort to be able to do this. And in theory, you need to look up or walk through to find the locations of them. But I love that it's like a thing that is available to all players who are having trouble. Leave the boss. Coolest thing about Elden Ring in general, for again, where accessibility is concerned, when new players from FromSoft games are concerned, is that you can just leave at any time. Go find these. The DLC will become easier for you.
How do I
That is-
play this?
They
No.
put it in there for you, and I just feel like maybe a lot of people have missed it. Which I
Again.
guess is like part of also the design of Elden Ring, right? Is like, FromSoft games don't ever explain anything to you. But yeah, I'm finding this stuff very funny. These games are hard. We should be allowed to criticize things we don't like about them. They're not immune to criticism. I do feel like Shadow of the Erdtree literally has told you the thing that you can do to make it easier. But same time, them patching it would imply to me that they're also like, maybe a bit much, which is funny. I'm not telling you to get good. I'm telling
I
you
don't
to
even
use
know.
all of the features available to you to cater.
Okay,
your
so that's what she
specific
said. That's what she was talking about. What do you make of this sacred tree branch called the Christmas tree that she was talking about? Let's see. So Steven says she's 30 already and lives in LA. She can't be saved. Oh, this YouTuber Enterprise dropped a vid on Batman's no kill rule. I haven't watched it, but his channel is okay from what I've seen. Interesting. We'll watch it maybe next time then. M Enterprise, which would be Saturday, and M Enterprise is about a normie. Is everything but a normie from what I've seen. Like most of his Nightwing videos, most of his Nightwing is important vid was based on examples from Rebirth and the current continuity. Oh, so you're saying he is a normie. Nimbus says, oh yeah, I saw that video. I've seen a couple from him. It's probably the first half that I disagree with. It was more nailing in of the idea that Batman shouldn't kill. Steven. Oh, thanks for the heads up. I think I saw your post about that on your Instagram story. Nice. You guys follow each other, eh? Nimbus. I think it's fine. It's beneficial for the players and developers, it seems. I don't know what you were referring to specifically. Players could be whatever level when they enter the DLC and would most likely be above what they would expect, leading to a lackluster DLC if moved through everything with or without endgame builds. She makes it sound more disabled friendly than I found it because I never sought them put and just used them whenever we came across them in the game. That's what I thought she was going to do. That's what I thought she was doing because she already made it, oh, it's an option, therefore it's an accessibility feature. Is then health potions, are those an accessibility features? Is saving in the game an accessibility feature? Technically, I don't have to save if I don't want to. It's like at a certain point, you can make anything into an accessibility feature if you just kind of interpreted it as one. Oh, because technically, it makes the game easier. Therefore, it's like this other feature that also makes the game easier. Therefore, it's an accessibility feature. See how she's like, that's perfectly what I'm talking about. She is conflating. She's conflating these things. And it serves a purpose. You know, she's definitely conflating. And that's not the end of these crazy things that happen, because people were not happy with her performance here. And I'm going to read you some comments. So thank you, Alana, for that crap show, if I want to call it that. And let's see if I can read these comments, although let me tell you, boy, they're small, so maybe not that small. I'm going to put ourselves on the spot here because there's going to be some emotional comments here. I had a massive stroke last November 27th. ER and Starfield have actually been vital components of my recovery through physical therapy. I've been amazed at how well games have done for me in this regard. Imagine that. Doctors and neuroscientists and surgeons demanding that I be a gamer. I thrown in some Skyrim as well because, well, yeah. Elden Ring was already challenging for me before I got brain damage, but sadly I have yet to once again make my way to Mogwin Palace on my naked guy. Decided to go full commando for the first run and drop any cookie cutter builds, and I'm reminded yet again how wonderfully beautiful the lands between are. Well, there you go. I mean, it's like, this guy is mentally ill. No, but seriously, he had some sort of difficulty, and the difficulty of the game helped him. And I don't think a Mario Odyssey would have helped him, right? So speaking of disability, guess what? Maybe sometimes, in this case, lack of accessibility features made it so that he could actually push himself. And if maybe those accessibility features were there, maybe he wouldn't even think of it, because again, you blur the lines with accessibility features when you implement them into the game itself, instead of having them be like a separate mode. I think we should get to a world where we can accept that not everything is for everyone, which is something Woodcap said too. If the game is too hard, play something else, not for you. If you can't pause, don't play the game, play something else. I don't understand the need to make things for everything, for every single person. Let them cook how they want to cook. Yes, and I would go as far and say, I would go further. No, expect them to deliver on one vision, like kind of like what you're saying. But if they want to make multiple difficulties, I would say no, just make one difficulty so that we can be all on the same page. And if something is too difficult, then we can stop playing it. If something is too easy, then we can also stop playing it, because we just find it to be too boring, and we just find the thing that we do like. And we can, wouldn't that be better? It's like you have so many people disagreeing with you, and that's because maybe they played a game on an easier mode, and it's like, well, you didn't have the same experience as I did. And again, I think it helps when you have people saying, when you have developers adding a footnote saying, this is the difficulty that was intended. Like, sometimes they do that. And I think, like, for Doom, I like the game. I very much enjoyed Doom. But I think that's like, again, it's like so many difficulty levels, and yet it's like none of them indicate which one is the intended difficulty mode, and that kind of like messes with your experience of the game, because it's like, I don't know if this is just in my version of the game, if the difficulty spike makes it just unplayable. And again, it's like, if it's the harder difficulty expects me to learn and become better. So when are you gonna do Doom 2 after the awful Spec Ops The Line game? I think that's my plan, honestly. After Spec Ops The Line, I want to do Doom 2, and then I also want to do, I think I want to do Resident Evil, guys. I think Resident Evil, it's time to do that series, and I think that'll be fun. I really do think starting like from the first one would be pretty fun. Like some others said, Scandu blessings are optional, as leveling your character and weapons is optional. It's a main feature of the game that comes naturally, and I don't think it's poorly explained at all. People just want to rush and skip the whole game and then complain it is too hard. Yeah, it's the movie game syndrome. I went into it with a level 180 character, and it feels like day one back in Limgrave. That tells me that that they got it about right for a DLC. I explored almost half the map before facing the lion, and got the second attempt with a summon. There are multiple ways to progress. You don't have to run straight into the boss fight and get slapped. I've said it before, accessibility isn't about making it easy, it's about making it possible. For me, summons let me finish the game and see everything I've paid for. Hilarious. He's calling summons an accessibility feature. That's hilarious. The Japanese industry is not as crazy about accessibility as you are. So again, you're just adding meaning to stuff that doesn't belong there. And so that's number one. Number two, see everything I've paid for. That's just hilarious. That you think you just get to do everything, just look for everything, and then, you know, just because I paid for it, I deserve to see everything, even though I suck at the game. That's not what you pay for. That's not what games are for. You play the game to play them and to beat them. I'm convinced that 90% of these difficulty complaints are from folks for whom Elden Ring was their first FromSoft game. They beat the base game, felt like gods, and then got triggered when the DLC pummeled them into the ground and they had to learn the game all over again. I think that's pretty much what it is. Here's the rub. Not every game is for everyone. I play Tarkov and my boys do not, because they find it too challenging. The point of the game is for it to be difficult. Why can't we all start being okay with not every game being made for every gamer? And this is why I just appreciate Soulsborne fans. Really, they defend their games. They have a standard, and I very much appreciate that. Kids are not a disability, they're a responsibility. Boom. That was the comment, one of many comments that criticized her for saying that kids are a disability. And yes, she responds to it, but we'll get to it in a moment. I was grinding against that lion for a long time with a summon and Ash, and then I went, okay, hold up, let me treat this like Bloodborne or Dark Souls. I spent the next 4 matches learning its moves, and alone found its weak spots. Found it's weak to fire, not black fire. Beat it the next try alone. Yes, and that's also kind of how you like play Mega Man. You kind of like see which like game, like which level should I try to do first. And again, it's about like kind of like almost exploration, finding the right order, seeing what sort of weapon is better. It's really about like really playing the game and seeing what do you have to do to defeat it. And it's just so much more fun. That discovery is so much more rewarding than me just getting something on a silver platter. Let's get to your comments before we get to this other section. I think I'd rather say that it makes the DLC even better, because with this separate leveling system, we don't have to worry about being overpowered and having a lackluster experience, which I had in the base game because I did what the game pushed me to do exactly and explained the world at every chance, but it backfired and made me too powerful for main bosses until the last two. You're gonna do RE1 remake or OG RE1? I wanted to do. What do you guys think if we? What if we did like RE1 original? Because it's a cult classic with hilarious, so bad that it's good dialogue. And I figured, hey, what if we also then did the RE1 remake, like the original and then the RE1 remake? I think that'd be fun to compare. Even though that remake is like similar to the OG, I think it'd be awesome. Honestly, the GameCube remake, something to think about, and we might not even have to like play it back to back if we're kind of scared of like being just bored of the same game. But maybe we could do like OG RE1, and then we can do like RE2 and RE3, and then after RE3 we could go RE1 remake. Nimbus, RE1 had a remake, wasn't it? A remaster? It was a remake. And when we say a remake, it's actually, a proper naming for a remake. A remake is... So, yes. Okay, how do I approach this? So, remasters are basically what you say they are. They're basically the original game, but I guess updated graphics or some tweaks to it. But it's generally the same. And if you look at that RE1 remake, because that's what it was considered a remake at the time for the GameCube. What ended up happening was, they pretty much kept the game as it was. They changed a lot of the dialogue to improve it. They changed some aspects to it, right, to make it, different because they wanted to improve it, but it was pretty much the same game. And if you think about it, that is the traditional way of what a remake is supposed to be. It's supposed to be kind of like the original thing. If you're remaking something and just updating it, and that's what it is. If you're like, I think something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's not a remake. It calls itself a remake, but it's really just a totally different game. Same thing with the Resident Evil 2 remake. That's not really a remake. That's a totally different game. A different play style, different perspective, different graphics, not even reminiscent of the original art style. It's like totally different. And, no, I guess you could say movies, remakes, movie remakes are also kind of like that. Kind of not really, but the remake... The phrasing remake or like the word remake has really changed and it's become much looser nowadays. So yeah, I wish we could go back to like the older definition of remake, because I really like the whole approach of actually honoring of what came before, not changing too much about it, but still changing enough things where it's like, yeah, it's different, but it is almost like the original one, because it's like, yeah, you get the original experience pretty much. And that's what I appreciate about like those remakes, is that they actually respect what came before and they don't feel like, oh, tank controls, we got to change those. You don't have to do that. Let's see. Amen. Preach. Yes, exactly. I see Nimbus is agreeing with all those comments. Oh, dang, I wasn't even aware that they changed anything. Yes, because the original Resident Evil had just awful dialogue. And, like, the translations, I should say, the localization was just awful. And they created a different version of the game, and that game had better dialogue, like more appropriate ones. And I think they changed maybe like the visuals just a tiny bit, right? They just made them look more up to date, not in a way where it's like, oh, it's photorealistic and it's totally different than the original. No, it just looks like an up-res version of the original, which is kind of like what a remaster is supposed to be. But remasters, even remasters are a lot more minimal. remasters are like in between a port and a remake. So yeah. Woodcap RE1 Resident Evil 1 remake deserves a lot more respect for being the only remake in the series to keep the tank controls. Yes, it was faithful, and I love that. I love how it's just respectful of the original. And now you have, again, it's like people who never play the original ones, and it's like, and then they automatically think, oh, tank controls are just awful. And it's like, no, not really. It's just they became unpopular over time because everything has become homogenized in the industry. Every sort of, like, every gameplay is the same now, almost. Like, there's just, when it comes to like the AAA games, all of them are trying to stay within the same parameters of like what we can do with this gameplay. They're scared of risking stuff. They're scared of being original, and I think you used to have a lot of that before. Like, I crap on Spec Ops The Line, but the one thing I praise it for is that it's trying to be different, even when it comes to like the controller layouts and how it's like you can do summons, or like, not summons, sorry, talking about Elden Ring, how you can like command your crew, and that's just awesome. It's pretty cool, and that's in a third-person shooter. And it changes up a lot about the gameplay. Some of it is bad because of how the game turns out, but okay, that's not something that, that's unfortunate, of course. But that's a different topic. They changed some of the story. Oh dang, I wasn't aware they changed anything. Yeah, same when it comes to like the story beats. That's pretty interesting to fit canon better. Yeah, so that might be a good idea. RE1 Remake was basically the game that creators wanted to make, but couldn't because of technical issues. At the time, they even added new content and changed puzzle solutions for veteran players. See, that's cool. So, like I said, it might be actually a good idea to actually do 1, 2, 3, and then go back to 1 remake. Maybe. At least RE4 Remake is actually a remake. Well, it's of... Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Of Resident Evil 4, but it still plays... But I still prefer OG RE4. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more modern in terms of, again, in terms of games becoming a lot more similar, samey, homogenized. So these other comments, I try not to be a hater, but I've honestly found the Elden Ring DLC borderline impossible to beat due to unfortunate circumstances of me not owning it. Hilarious. The no summons thing sounds more like a challenge. You'd never say someone didn't complete a Pokemon game because they didn't do a Nuzlocke. I don't know what that means. And as you can see, she responds to some of these, and that's usually I ignored her responses because she's usually like, yeah, I agree. It's like, okay, cool. Not all games need to be made for all people. Beautiful comment. The game was designed around being balanced for summons. However, it was also designed around jumping over attacks, and I noticed that a lot of people think you are only supposed to roll. The game becomes a lot easier when you realize jumping is just as important. I think labeling Skadu tree fragments is optional, while technically true, set people down this path of not wanting to use them, thinking they were like training wheels on easy mode. I've seen this a lot, when in reality, the entire DLC is scaled around you raising your blessing level. You might be able to sludge through for a little bit, but when you reach a certain point, you'll be getting one-shot by even small enemies and doing poor damage. The blessings were put in place to keep players from power leveling before the DLC, and then just stomping through all the content like a boss rush. So yeah, as you can see, it's a lot more complicated than what she made it seem to be. Never used any accessibility features until I crushed my right hand and lost the index finger from that hand. Now I need the accessibility features to play most games. I didn't feel any less of a gamer for needing them. Well, you were then playing a different game, I'm sorry to tell you. It was altered. It was made to be easier just for you. And that was not about Elden Ring. So I'm a full-time dad, and I am also disabled. Here's my take. While I agree having kids can make playing games more problematic, I think it is a mistake to lump that in with being disabled. There are times when kids are sleeping well and you do get some downtime. However, I don't get downtime from being disabled. That is with me for the rest of my life. I do understand the comparison you are making. I just don't think calling people with busy lives through kids, work, etc., disabled as thoughtful to people who do have actual disabilities. Thanks for reading. And she has a very unsensitive, like just a heartless response to this I will get to. Sure, call them whatever you want. The design principle is the same. And that's basically what she wrote to this guy. Situational disability equals momentary inconvenience. And so it's like, yeah, it's like the principle is the same. Okay, well, but then don't call it situational disability. Why do you want to call it situational disability? And then she's going to get into it. So this guy says, except situational disability implies something more serious, which is disingenuous, in my opinion. What does she say? It's just what it's called in the tech industry, which uses the term disabled all the time to refer to a lot of different things. I don't think it has the same connotation to programmers as it does to you. It just means something is disabled. What? So in trying to be inclusive, that's what you're going to say. But don't worry, guys. She actually responded with a totally different comment. Like, she saw the criticisms. She saw the people who were writing in because it really caused a lot of controversy. So she responded in the main comment. She wrote a new one. And it's a doozy. Hello, new commenters. I know most people, and I caught this while it was 14 hours ago, this screenshot, but it really was like, I saw her publish this like 13 minutes ago when I first saw it. I know most people just want to get mad, react emotionally to things. Always a great way to start a response. But for those actually interested in the info, number one, situational disability is a term that has existed in software and game development for a long, long time. It pertains to accessibility design. It's not something normal people would or should use. It's just a part of accessibility design ethos, which is very broad. The context in which I brought it up here was explaining broad, different facets of accessibility design and how far-reaching it is. So she's basically trying to use industry language for, that's what we call it in our industry. If somebody can't play the game for whatever reason, we just label that as part of accessibility, and therefore we lump it in with disability. And again, it kind of plays into the vagueness of what it is that we're talking about when it comes to accessibility. But it's just the industry standard. The industry standard by who? By these weirdos of DEI departments. Those are the people. That's the work. Definitely did not come from Japan. It came from companies like Microsoft and all those other companies, and they're the ones who are just putting everything. They're the ones who are putting this language in front of you. So it's like, makes you wonder, why are you putting this language? Why are you referring to kids as disability? Because yes, we can, we don't want a virtue signal here, right? It's like, we can understand that yes, in principle you're trying to find a technical term to describe this phenomenon, but in you calling it a situational disability is just not just insensitive. I said it unsensitive, I think last time. Insensitive. It means that you are just totally out of, you are just so in your own bubble that you just don't see what other people are coming from. It's insensitive, and it really should have no place whatsoever. Because if you find yourself in a situation where you're calling you're working, a situational disability. I can't play video games because I'm working. That's not a situational disability. You should be more grateful for having to work. And how are you going to build accessibility features around having to work? Like, oh, how about those people? Like, oh, okay, let's just not mention them, I guess. Just got to find more time. Okay, so those people have to go out of their own way to find more time, but you couldn't stop playing video games for you to not break your own thumbs or whatever. It's like there's a level of hypocrisy, and you can see how you can like go to every case by case scenario, and you will never find consistency in this issue. Accessibility is just a total joke, I would say. Like, it's a total joke. I'm not saying all of it is invalid. I think there's bits of it and pieces of it that are valid. I think a lot of them you can just put in customizability in the sense that you're not going to be changing the core experience. You're just going to be changing font sizes. You're going to be changing inverted whatever, auto aim, that sort of stuff. Colorblind mode, maybe that could even be customizability, but I guess, like, that's definitely something that's done specifically for more disabled people. But at the same time, if we just got rid of all these needless, like, oh, make my enemies weaker options, that'd be fine. So number 2, I did not invent the term, but obviously I'm familiar with it because I have worked on accessibility in game industry, and therefore you have to listen to me. I added that for myself, but this is her. She's speaking from like this point of, oh, I'm just better than you, or like, I know this stuff better. Trust me, bro. It's like, oh, I think I'm progressive enough, therefore I can be regressive, which is what people accuse wokeness. I don't like using that term, but that's what that's the problem with wokeness, is that you claim to be these things when in reality you are actually hurting people, and you're achieving the opposite effect. That's what you're doing with this. And if you find yourself again calling kids a disability, then that instantly has to be just kicked out in your work. But specifically a person, that already has to be, it's gone. Not even a debate. We are not having this discussion. It is not a disability. You will never have to. You cannot talk to anybody like that. You cannot talk to people like they're a disability, like they're a disease, right? It just sounds like something that would come out of new economic world forum. That's what it comes from. Something that Carl Schwab's would say, eats the bugs, and because you don't want to be dealing with all the situational disabilities that are the other people, and we gotta lower the population. It's like, that's a slippery slope, lady. And it's just dehumanizing. Seriously, it's beyond dehumanizing. You're not even comparing somebody to an animal. You're comparing them to a I don't know, like a retardation, I guess, of some form, like, or like a limitation, or a burden. It's like, what are you talking about? Crazy. To be honest, I think the entire showcase development industry probably doesn't take issue with the word disability or disabled, because they're the ones who came up with this. Because they're the ones who came up. Like, come on. Oh, the person who created the slur is doesn't have a problem with it. Oh, good to know. Thank you. So in the way that general public seems to, it's a very common term in all facets of dev. No, not really. Just in your circles, lady. That child example is commonly used. I didn't invent that either. It's Microsoft Accessibility Design Docs. Oh, brother. So we should just take Microsoft words for it, because they're the ones who are introducing these terms. Again, these mega corporations owned by corporations like BlackRock. I just remembered something. Here is something that also was introduced by Microsoft as an industry norm. Let us see if, like, there's stuff that we clearly should not listen to, and like, oh, Microsoft said it, therefore we have to listen to them. Listen to the experts. it reminds me so much of like the whole experts COVID speak. It's like, oh, get your jab, and if not, then you are a conspiracy theorist. Like it's like that sort of attitude, like speaking down to people. Let's take a look at this, guys. Hold on. You guys probably know what this is. Maybe you don't, so if this is your first time watching this, well, prepare to cringe. It's going to get rough from here. So this is a Microsoft showcase, not a video game related one, but like an office. It's from Microsoft. So this is what we have to, this is what Microsoft basically is doing. It's from
Hello
2 years ago, I believe.
and welcome to Microsoft Ignite. We've got a big day ahead and lots in store for you. First, we want to acknowledge that the land where the Microsoft campus is situated was traditionally occupied by the Sammamish, the Duwamish, the Snoqualmie, the Suquamish, the Muckleshoot, the Snohomish, the Tulalip, and other Coast Salish peoples since time immemorial.
Blah, 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 blah.
My name is Allison Wines. I'm a senior program manager in our developer tools division. I'm an Asian and white female with dark brown hair wearing a red sleeveless top.
And I'm Seth Juarez, program manager in the AI platform group. I'm a tall Hispanic male wearing a blue shirt, khaki pants. Today we kick off 2 days of learning more.
How dare you be wearing blue shirts, a blue t-shirt, and it's like, oh, that's clearly indicative of your blue shirt privilege and khaki pants victimhood.
About the latest solutions, exploring how these key innovations can empower you to do great things, and connecting with peers from around the world.
This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Gadilla. I'm a Caucasian woman with long blonde hair, and I go by she, her. I'm a product marketing lead here at Microsoft and co-host of the podcast Security Unlocked with this guy.
Yes, that would be me. Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Fillingham. I'm a Caucasian man with glasses and a beard. I go by he, him, and I'm a security evangelist here at Microsoft.
In our developer tools division, I'm an Asian and white female with dark brown hair wearing a red sleeveless top.
Damn it, Wade!
But are you gay though? They never mentioned. Odd. So again, not everything that Microsoft does we should listen to. Far from it. Again, these people are insane, so gotta be careful what you wish for when you say stuff like that. So for those who just, number 4, for those who just jumped to conclusions in this video, I literally say get good and note it and note. Hold on. And note. And note that I don't think Elden Ring is too hard, nor do I think it should be cancelled. If you'd like to say that part, just watch the video. So she was pretty salty. And before we get to the responses, and she goes on to respond to those people. Let's read what you guys are talking about Resident Evil, having like a crazy long discussion here. Nimbus, what are you saying here? Or let's get to Mootcap. Yeah. The game included setup for RE2, 3, and even Code Veronica. I think they're going to try to remake Code Veronica, which would be weird. Nuzlocke is basically a Pokemon challenge run where if a Pokemon is knocked out, you aren't allowed to use it for the rest of the game. Oh, good to know. I didn't know. Sorry. RE4. Nimbus says RE4 remake improves the story and some bosses, which I like it for. In the original, we didn't fully know things about key characters until they released extra content years later. I have no idea. I'll have to play those games, but I'm usually the type of guy who says the original is better. And it's for a reason, because everyone is just profiting off of the legacy of the original. And I understand that sometimes people have rose-colored glasses. But at the same time, recency bias is also a thing. And that's what I don't appreciate. Woodcap, a criticism I had with both versions of 4 was that Umbrella. Okay, that's a spoiler, I think. Steven, ooh, RE4. I'm gonna play the Wii version of that soon. Far Cry Lego, that is the best version of RE4. Is it really? I thought it was a joke. I mean, I've heard that it exists, but isn't it like bad with the graphics? I guess not, since it came out for the GameCube, so there wouldn't be much of a downgrade. Now, would there be? Steven, Alana's comments were weird. Yeah, I think they're even worse than the video. Nimbus, a big grab I had with the original. You guys are probably spoiling RE4 now. It's getting too personal to me. So I'll just skip. Steven, sounds great, Nimbus. Yeah, good thing that it's too bad that I won't read it. Among other story and character improvements. Far Cry Lego, memology. Hold on. We didn't get to Hoske. Oh my, we missed Hoske. We have... Oh no, we had some crazy bot. I'm sorry, Hoske, for just realizing. I'm like, oh right, Hoske is here. And some other guy on Twitch. I was watching you on television. My television had to turn you off to play some Mario Kart. It's okay. I will not have anything against you if you rather play Mario Kart on the big TV. All the more power to you. I would have done the same thing. I love when people make videos like this and expect the audience to be on their side. Right? Isn't that hilarious, Hoske? It's always a sight to behold when people just turn on this sort of type of audience. So we have some kind of promotion. Loser trying to get... It's a bot, I think. And then we have Hoske, who got censored by a mod. He said, get the F out of here. Nobody wants you here. Whichever game is cheaper, you still going to play Spec Ops? I guess I do have to finish Spec Ops. We'll get back to it next week, I guess, right? It depends if you guys still want me to play it. I'll play it, of course. I think it's important to finish the games that you're playing. So, let's get back to YouTube. Yeah, let's get back to YouTube. One of my favorite South Americans, Memology 101. Yeah, that's the first video that came up. Like, he's still making videos, but they're not as popular as they used to be. Why didn't Microsoft make a game about the people Elizin mentioned instead of talking about it like weirdos? Do they hate money? Good question. For Windows 11, I sent you a DM about it. Okay. We'll get to your vids after this. Especially the Marvel vs. Capcom vid. Responsibility and disability are two different things. By that logic, literally anything can be a disability, then wow, exactly. And then Lana Pierce, sure, but that's not how the term works for purposes of developing an accessible product. Well, it literally does. If you say that it can literally be anything, anything can be viewed, anything fits within the metrics of situational disability, temporary disability, and then there was like the other one that she mentioned. Everything can fall under that umbrella. As someone married to a disabled person, mother with one child, it's encouraging watching her overcome her God-given challenges and tribulations as I'm able to finish the new Elden Ring DLC. That's hilarious. Situational disability is a term that has existed in software and game development for a long time. Maybe that's why a vast majority of Western AAA games are so mediocre today. Get her, because you devs focus so much on silly terms such as situational disability instead of focusing 100% on creating a fun game. I hope more game devs are fired in 2024. Oh, wow. That stung. Well, yeah, there's a lot of situational disabilities. A nosebleed could be a situational disability. In context to video games, having a kid could be a situational disability. Really basic stuff and easy to learn with Google. Coming in with a defense. And yes, still a stupid term. Like, even a nosebleed is kind of stupid because it's like, the term disability has its meaning and you should not deviate from it. Meh. I literally, what are you talking about? This person was responding to respect the source material. Oh, I like his username. Like, why are you confused by what he said? And then we have this part here. Oops. Oopsie daisy. Oopsie daisy. Alright. So what happens here? So it goes on. You need a new brain, Alana, says Beamsbright. She responds to him. This is a very weird response this is a very weird response to being taught something you don't know. It's not that it's something we don't know, it's something that nobody should ever know nor accept. So yes, in that respect, you do need a new brain. Great video. Lots of nuance that you covered super well, and I respect your opinion. Less button presses might be hard to add or compromise the gameplay in some way. IDK, I'm not a designer, but accessibility shouldn't be a bad word. I agree, it should be a dirty word. Beamsbright, you taught me something that's made up. Facts. He's responding to Alana, of course. Because she's like, oh, you're being taught something. That's a very weird response. And he's like, yeah, you taught me something that's made up. And not just like made up that it makes sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, because being a bartender is a situational disability. And yes, there are terms. Like, why couldn't you just find a different term? Again, it's everything to do with inclusion and all that. And yes, there are terms like that Dell Walker and Microsoft have made up. Exactly. And I think it's people who are just honestly trying to gain some sort of legitimacy, and they're trying to, they seek validation. They have nothing to do at their job. They're nobodies. And I'm not saying that Alana is a nobody, but in the position of a accessibility manager, whatever you want to call that position, you are a nobody in that situation, because you are really, for the most part, or like you're let's be maybe more something an easier example, because I think you can find something, again, worthwhile about the accessibility topic. But DEI, or like a sensitivity reader, you are useless. Your job is useless. You are a useless human being that does more harm than good, and you deserve not to have a job because your job is stupid. It's harmful. So, yes. What was that related to? I don't even know. Thanks for the explanation to a normie like me outside the industry. It seems like a weird way of wording things. It is. Alana, I don't mean to sound like the nerd emoji with glasses. Situational disabilities are temporary conditions that affect an individual's ability to perform certain tasks or participate in specific activities. Examples include a broken arm, temporary vision impairment, or pregnancy-related limitations, and found nothing on having blah, 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 blah. I think that's her response would be something to the extent of, that's temporary disability, actually. Somebody else writes, maybe just spend time with your child instead of playing such a challenging game. Problem solved. Crisis averted. Your way of thinking is why the industry got so casual and lame. Please don't drag down the only glimpse of hope we've left in games. And what else is he saying? Hold on. In the games industry, From Software knows what we want, and they gave it to us. True. Steven says, respect the source material, and Beamsbright roasted TF out of her and the devs. Oh yeah, they did. Maybe just yeah. And then she responds to Memescast guy, who was like the guy who, actually that means temporary conditions, blah blah blah. And she's like, go look at Microsoft design doc. It's basically what I was referring to. Stop, you're acting like an elitist person who thinks they're above everyone. It's basically what I was referring to, though you can find many talks about the topic that mention kids. I assure you that is what is I assure you what I said is correct. Just cringe. No one is having kids, and no one is saying that having kids is an actual disability. It's considered a situational disability. Goodness gracious. This woman does not... She doubles down and triples down, even though she's extremely insensitive. Like, genuinely. As it pertains to accessibility design. See how she has to add that caveat into it. There's a reason why. Because she knows it's stupid. She has to overcompensate with every single moment that she speaks, because she knows she's just dug herself a deep hole that now she has to get out of. It's not a term normal people would use in an everyday life. Applying for benefits is completely unrelated to the point. LOL, touch grass. And guess what? I'm here. Woohoo! And I wrote, video games are an art, and not all arts can be accessed by anyone. I bring an example of music, painting, sculptures. People who can't see, of course, can't see sculptures and paintings. And people who can't hear can't listen to music. Fun fact. I say this knowing very well that I wouldn't be able to play certain games, or any, if I even found myself disabled, which God forbid that ever happened. The more creators change what they deem to be the core experience, the less legitimate it becomes as an art. And I think that's a fair criticism. I got a reply from somebody else. They said, excellent comment, and I'm like, thank you. And then there's a different person responding to Alana. First of all, who cares about Microsoft Design BS? The point is, no one forced you to play Shadow of the Erdtree during... It's like, yeah, where are you going to find that inside of a dog? Where are you going to find the fact that no one was forcing you to play the Shadow of Erdtree DLC? The point is, no one forces you to play Shadow of Erdtree during your situational or temporary disability. No one, even though it's not a disability. So true, Dr. Stephen Strange 897. Yeah, and the $1 trillion company is and always has been right. Exactly. So, all around beautiful comments. I love these comments here. Be stuck with me. And let's see if we can find the clip that you were talking about. And dang, I really wanted to do like a deep dive on the whole accessibility thing, but I think like we might have to split it into 2 parts, just because of how much there is to like go over, because it's like that's what it kicked off. But then you have, like, where did this accessibility thing come from? I prepared for all this. Again, I did not expect James Gunn to kind of like do this to us, where we had to essentially just to stop playing the game and couldn't even focus on our main topics. I'm like, there's no news today, I have to think of something, and I did, and it was perfect. And it would have been perfect had it not been for James Gunn and his awful leaks, who like, get that stuff under control, sir. Because I think we spent like almost an hour talking about that, but now we can't, and I'm sad. Yes, but I think that was really fun, honestly, and I just find the whole topic to be extremely fascinating, and I don't know, I would really want to come back to it to kind of like pinpoint who decided to bring up this accessibility thing. Where did it come from? I think we should kind of like focus on it a bit more, and maybe like see what the other perspectives are, because there are a lot of videos on YouTube dedicated to like explaining what's so good about it. Let's see. I think you sent me Marvel vs. Capcom 2 video. Far Cry Lego. So let's watch that. And also, yeah, let's watch something else too. I got something else too that we were supposed to watch. That Far Cry Lego also sent us, and we gotta watch it right now. Sorry if that was too loud. This was from last time. It is a new ASDF movie. that came out 7 days ago or 8 days now. I think 8, 7, who knows. But let's watch it, and just to be extra safe, while I look for this other clip that he sent me, what is this video all about?
I want a divorce.
Fine, but I'm keeping the clown.
These clips are always so random.
I'm bored. Oh, who's a good boy? Not me. I'm a girl. And what would Sir like?
I'd like you to leave my house.
No!
Conductor! He's bad at his job! God?
Yes, my child.
Why are you in a tree?
I am stuck.
This isn't milk.
I wish I were dead.
And for your next wish?
That actually wasn't random. That was pretty much on point. He did what you asked for.
Give it back. No.
98, 99, 100. This is too many fingers.
Kiss me, Johnny.
Johnny the truck.
Honey, don't look at the sun.
I'm naked! So, your place or mine?
This is your place.
Well, that would explain why all my stuff is here.
Are you having fun, sweetie?
That's classified. Hey, guess what? I love you.
Oh, gross. Wanna dance?
I don't know how.
Neither do I.
What?
Fetch the stick, boy. Johnny the truck.
Oh, what's wrong, little guy?
My wife left me.
That was really loud. Wow, a rainbow.
I didn't know he got out of prison. Run. Well, if I'm not the father, who is? Johnny the truck!
This is Steve, and this is his natural predator, Mine Turtle.
Wait, what?
Hey you, we made a new game. Don't Press That Mine Turtle is an explosive game of truth or dare.
Okay. By the way, I still have I just remembered I wrote a different comment, a separate comment under that video. I don't have it in here, but I do have it in front of me on my phone. And let me just pull it up real quick and tell you what I wrote on there. I wrote, customization is good, accessibility is bad. Accessibility is a nonsense made-up term in gaming. None of that exists in any other entertainment industry. Movies have closed captions for those hard of hearing, or narrators for those who are hard of seeing. And because that's all movies have to worry about. Music doesn't have accessibility. Most video games are too complex to create an experience for everyone, and most accessibility features have just become an excuse to make the game easier. We can make a separate mode for those with disabilities, but don't add it to the vanilla experience. It's just more options. It's more options that give everyone an incentive to be lazy. And I got some comments. I got some smarty pants saying music does have accessibility options. There are sign language translators and lyric sheets, so this isn't even factually correct. Also, the argument that you can't add accessibility because other people might get lazy is just childish. Don't deny other people the ability to play because you lack self-control. And if you have that self-control, why are you policing how other people play? And it is hilarious because these people are always about oh, it's about your lack of self-control, isn't it? Or it's oh, you're trying to police how other people are supposed to play the game. No, it's just me who cares about one coherent vision. And so I wrote back to this person saying, I don't lack self-control, but developers blur the lines without well-defined modes. You end up playing in hold on. I don't lack self-control, but developers blur the lines without well-defined modes. So you end up playing an incoherent game. Also, sign translators are not able to translate the essence of music, so you are still wrong. there is still an essential way of listening to music. With video games, everyone is trying to blur the line of how you should essentially play the game. And so she or he responds, I think we can agree half to 3/4 of the way, which is enough to run a government. If the features exist but are simply delineated clearly in some fashion so that everyone can play the game with the minimum needed accommodation, but the game itself isn't overly affected, that seems fine. I don't want them to change anything fundamental about Elden Ring to accommodate people. There's plenty of middle ground to cross before we come to that. We would likely disagree on the minute of how to design those modes, but we're not actually designing a game, so I think that's okay. Wow, a non-hostile comment exchange. Crazy. And I think I got this other video in front of us too.
Yo, you want to learn how?
So this one is 3 minutes long, but it's probably a fun one. So yeah. Here we go. It's an Iron Man tutorial. What? That sounds lame. Maybe there's a twist to this video. We'll see, we'll see. Alright, so yeah, this whole like accessibility topic is really fascinating. Oh my, Twitch, says Hosuke. You're really pissing me off right now. Dude, if I had headphones, I would have been deaf. Was it because of the ASDF movie? Was the whole clip extremely loud for you guys? Or was it just the beginning? Or was it Marvel vs. Capcom? Yeah, the beginning. Oh yeah, it's like I can't do anything about it. When I drop stuff onto my OBS, it just plays the clip right away, and I can't even like pause it quickly enough. It's unfortunate. Now I have to quickly like lower it. I'm sorry. Maybe I should give you guys like a warning, which I sometimes do. But yeah, let's just watch this final clip of today. I think it has to be. Don't worry, I'm not in pain. Well, yeah, but somebody else will be, and it would be a shame if I would make you disabled and you would have to play with the accessibility options, you know? Steven, yeah, she can't be saved. You guys were right about her. Far Cry Lego, you seen the light, bro. Steven, LMAO, this is funny. It reminds me of Flipnote Helena from the DSi. I remember Flipnote. This is how I got into Marvel vs. Capcom 2 against the new people. Okay.
I do a fucking Infinite. I'ma teach your motherfucking bitch ass. Easiest shit in the motherfucking Marvel 3, Marvel 2. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. Iron Man. Alright, jump up in the air, hit up.
Purple Man.
Heavy kick, nigga. And then this motherfucking light punch, medium punch.
Falcon Punch.
Heavy punch. Hold diagonal whichever way you fucking going. You only hit X fucking up, motherfucking heavy kick. You can't do it on the ground, motherfucker. That shit don't work. Let's start this motherfucker off right. Ow, 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 ow. Drop that shit. Redo it, motherfucker. Ow, ow. How's it taste? Keep the rhythm up. If you fuck up the rhythm, the motherfucking combo will drop, motherfucker. Keep that motherfucking shit up. You keep that same motherfucking rhythm. If you drop this motherfucker, then it will not be motherfucking cool. You can cancel it out into motherfucking heavy punch ultra. But I ain't gonna do that shit. It drops at the motherfucking 59 hits, motherfucker. That shit's crazy. 54 and 55. When you do it in the corner, don't hold straight diagonal. After motherfucking 2 to 4 hits, it'll drop. Just like that. Let's see it again. One motherfucking, fuck, drop. What you want to do is when you get him in the corner, you want to hit him diagonal once. Now hit up. Now go diagonal. Now hit up. Now go diagonal. Now hit up. That shit don't keep motherfucking combo up, motherfucker. That way you can motherfucking hit that shit. You don't even drop that shit in the air. It don't matter, motherfucker. Even though the combo hits go away, they still can't block the motherfucker unblockable. Let me teach you how to do this shit with motherfucking assist. You see that bitch? See that nigga? You can't do it the same way. You gotta meet that bitch. You gotta jump with that bitch. Side lock in the motherfucking air. You gotta jump with her. You feel me? Jump with her in the air, motherfucker. Then you can do the motherfucker shit. It's easy as fuck, motherfucker. Medium, heavy punch, light kick, medium, fuck, light punch, medium punch, light kick, heavy punch, motherfucker, easy as shit. Can't do the same shit with that, it drops. Let it come up, then jump up with the motherfucker when you got higher ass assists like that. Oh, see, you meet the motherfucker in the air. Easy ass shit, motherfucker. Oh, easy as a motherfucker. I hope, motherfucker, you do this shit, bitch. God, I can't cancel out that shit. It's been a while. Alright, motherfucker, let's do this again. Keep your motherfucking rhythm up. I can't cancel into that shit right now, man. It's been fucking wild. Don't lose your rhythm. You lose your rhythm, you fucked up. Light punch, medium punch, which is light punch twice. But
We get it, buddy. Yeah, I guess it's just him screaming. Makes sense. Alright, what oh, I guess I tired the horse. What? Oh no, he attacked us. What the heck? Again, the stupid Kruger. I hate this thing. Every single time. Alright. This is how I'm gonna... yes, Steven likes this clip. Alright, that is how I learned Iron Man. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to corner an enemy. Now I need a new horse. Right, so I thought that we would be able to... It's hilarious. I thought that we would be able to finish the entire side missions of strangers that I wanted to do, but it turns out no. We only did like one, and we didn't even intend to finish it, but we finished it. It's hilarious. Wait, what? Why is it telling me to go over the border? I don't want to go. Oh, I guess it's not? Okay. But yeah. Kind of surprising if you ask me. Because I didn't finish all of it, and I guess we just had too much fun. Which is good. That was a fun stream, I gotta say, guys. It's a topic I very much like talking about. Let's see if there's any flowers here. Again, map. Your mini map. Oh, there it is. Alright. Yeah, we might have to come back to this maybe like next week. But, you know, we're gonna like talk about accessibility and like where did it come from, who popularized it on YouTube. And we're gonna take a look at like the gradual change of how people started talking about it, and it's very fascinating stuff. I think we can learn some very interesting... I think that stuff is also important, like knowing the origin of where these things come from and derive from. And yeah, and oh yeah, I gotta close the poll. Let's see what you guys said. And poll, so... And people on Twitch can let us know what they think. Do you think the effects of accessibility in video games are a good thing? 66% of you said no, and 33% of you said yes, which is, it's 1/3 of you said yes. So that's a huge number, and I can definitely see some positives to it, of course. But again, it has to be very well defined, and it cannot all rely on the developer of the games. It's got to be far more no, it's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is... Oh, the sheriff is captured. Not good. Again? Weren't we here before? Ooh. Oh no, oh no, oh no, back away. But that's not good. Okay, we'll just finish this, and We'll save the sheriff. Horse, distract them. Good. Good job, horsey. What is this? Where's this person at? There they are. Like I'm telling you guys, the Deadeye is so... It is a cheat. What the heck? Oh, he's still alive? What? Yeah, we'll save the sheriff and we'll be done. There's a guy inside. That's okay. We got it. Can we go up here? Yes, we can. No, no, we're getting shot down. He's upstairs. Okay. Hold on, let me just make this bigger for you guys. And get rid of this. There we go. And hopefully we don't die, because if I die, how do we go upstairs? I guess this way. Wait, we've been here before. Oh my, we're here again? Get inside. No! Crap. Oh, it's over for us. Who is shooting us? Hold on, let me put on my headphones. Yeah, I've been playing with that. How did this happen again? Who is shooting at us? Where is he? Look at the sunrise, guys. Beautiful. Can we heal or something? Oh, there we go. Where is he? I can't see him. There he is. He's at the very top. He just hid. There we go. We got him. Nice. Now as for the other clown. Come on, go up. So yeah, what do you guys think of the... What? Where's this coming from? Okay. Problems, I can't see him. There we go. Ah. There we go, we got that loser. He's up. He's still moving. Die already. Who else is shooting at us? We'll get him, guys. We'll get him. There we go. Game. I'm shooting the barrels. Hilarious. Ah, there they. There we go. I can't shoot him too. Move back. Crap. This is an awful position, I gotta tell you guys. I guess gotta go with this one. Or, come on. It's just the sniper, there we go. Oh crap. What? How is he invincible? He's invincible, guys. Look at him. What the heck? How are these guys on? I guess I gotta stand up, maybe? There we go. At least the barrel is blocking stuff, probably. Okay, one more guy left. We can take him. In the balls. What? There's more criminals? Aw, man. We did this already. What? Wait, hold on.
Hey, over here! Cut me free and I'll help you out with these bastards.
Okay. Alright. What is this? Is this like a story point?
Thanks, partner. Looks like you already done most of the dirty work.
Okay.
Alright! That looks like everyone in town. Let's head up to the mansion and finish this.
Alright. There's like 3 of them left. I think we can take them. Plus we got some health. Nice. Give me some. Okay, okay, I'm coming.
There's a couple of them in the basement. You head down there. I'll give you cover.
You'll give me cover, okay. If I remember correctly. What do you mean? The sheriff has died. Are you kidding me? Is it because I got too close? Were they too slow? I don't get it. This is so scary. Jeez. It's like a horror movie. I can't wait to play Resident Evil 4. Dang, I feel so sad now that because he died. I don't know what I did though. I freed him. He died because of my recklessness. I don't get it. Who was supposed to cover me? There we go. Let's just finish this. Let's just finish this. Nice, we completed an entire mission. Good. Not surprised you failed the sheriff. Not surprised by that. He was not very specific as to what he wanted to do. He's like, oh, go to the basement. I'm like, okay, I'll just go around. and the guy got killed. I listened to him. You guys saw it all happen. I listened to him, and he's like, yeah, I got it. I'll cover you. And then he gets shot and dies. I can't do anything to that. There he is. You filthy waste of human and air. Alright. It's saved. That means we're okay. Who is this? Whatever. Some black guy. Alright. Thank you for being here, guys. Enough of us playing. Saturday, we're going to be, of course, doing Star Wars Acolyte. Our tradition. And maybe, or who knows, maybe we'll continue with accessibility and maybe we'll save Acolyte if there's nothing interesting to talk about. There always is with Acolyte, so we'll see. And, till next time, right? Let's see, what do you think of Finn being the protagonist in Star Wars? He's not the protagonist, is he? He's like a sloppy second. Oh, and by the way, because I saw Far Cry Lego say this, he wanted to like get a capture card to critique Spider-Man PS4. You don't have to. You can just... I didn't have a capture card when I created that critique of Spider-Man PS4. I just recorded it with my PlayStation 4. That's a possibility. As you have like a recording button, right? You can share stuff. So you can just record gameplay that way. You can even connect your headphone set to the mic, to the controller. And the game will also then incorporate your audio, your headphones, your voice, because you connected it to the controller. And so that's how I created that video. And then I plugged in a OBS, of course, a USB into it, and then I was able to transfer it over to a computer and then edit a video that way. So yeah, I didn't even need a capture card to create that video. It was all just the power of PlayStation. Yes, the power of PlayStation. Alright, that's enough. And yes, Finn is not a protagonist. He's just second fiddle to Rey, who is the real protagonist. So, bye everyone indeed. Thank you for being here and for clarifying a lot of things. Take care. Bye.